Hey, welcome everybody to a very special live episode of the Outlaw Nation here on the Outlaw Nation channel. This is the Outlaw Nation Show. I'm excited to welcome my guest today. We're going to bring him in just a minute, but I hope all of you are ready for this one, because we are setting up to have a hell of a barn burner conversation about our lives, about our careers. For those of you who remember, Kristian Harloff and I, that is going to be my guest. We had our one-on-one over on Collider, and that got an incredible amount of reactions and responses and comments, and people still talk about that as one of the best one-on-ones ever. They tell me all the time how much they enjoyed that, hearing both sides of it. And maybe I can get Kristian Harloff back and I get him into an emotional place and get him to cry. But it's not easy to do. Not easy to do. The man has a heart of steel, so it's not the easiest thing to do. So there you go. But thank you all so much for being part of the Outlaw Nation. Can't thank you enough. How many have already subscribed over the last few days already? We've had like 10 to 15 people subscribe all over again. Keep pushing up the numbers here on the Outlaw Nation Show. So many people enjoying game time. We just dropped 2 new reviews for both The Old Guard and Greyhound. Shannon McClung, my fellow geek buddy, joined me to review both of those movies. So if you haven't watched those, definitely after the show is done, go and watch those reviews and hear our thoughts. About 10 to 12 minutes. I learned after the long review of Hamilton, the long review we did of the other film I did with Steve Morris, I decided, the Bruce Lee film, that maybe, paring it back a little bit is probably the better way to do things. So about 10 to 15 minutes on the reviews for the most part going forward here from the Outlaw Nation show. All right, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, remember that you got your Streamlabs, you got the Super Chats, you got the Streamlabs, all that's going to be open. We don't have a Schmoebot, but I'll gladly do a robot voice if you donate over $20 for any of your comments. Absolutely, Outlaw Bot, maybe we'll call it that. You can definitely go that route. Also, about an hour into the show, I'm going to bring my producer, Wiley Todd, in live, and he's going to tell you all how you can come in live and ask questions of me and Kristian Harloff. We're going to get into so many things. We're going to get into Schmoedown. We're going to get into his life and his journey, his career, how he got here. We're going to talk about FSU days, possibly a little bit of our friendship, and answer all of your questions as well. Don't forget, if you're a patron of the Outlaw Nation, you get to come in first and ask your questions of me and Kristian Harloff. And don't forget, later on today at 7 p.m. PT, we're going to have a Discord hangout with the Outlaw Nation patrons for about a couple hours where you all will quiz me in preparation for my huge match with Ethan Irwin. It's coming up here, pay-per-view next Friday night. Depending on wherever you're at, next Friday morning is Friday afternoon, but it's next Friday, 3 p.m. PT. I'm taking on Ethan Irwin himself. It's going to be a hell of a titanic clash. It's Godzilla versus King Kong for sure. So get ready for that one and come help me prepare for it. If you're a $5 and above patron, you get to be on the Discord tonight, and then probably tomorrow and Friday we'll do some on-camera training as well for the patrons who are $10 and above. And if you want to join that, it's right there, www.patreon.com/John Rocha to get involved in that. All right, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I am incredibly excited to welcome a friend of mine who I have been friends with for over 20 years. That's kind of mind-blowing to think about, but a friendship that has really deepened and strengthened over the last few years as we've kind of been hanging and banging through a number of websites, and a gentleman who walked me into this sphere, for better or worse, walked me into this sphere and gave me my first opportunities to see what I could do in this sphere, and really kind of changed my life. So I owe Kristian Harloff a lot for what happened in my life, but you guys know him as one half of the Schmoes Know. You know him as a man kicking ass over there on the Schmoedown Entertainment Network. You've seen him on numerous outlets. You've seen him review films. You've seen him on Fandango. You've seen him on Collider. You've seen him on a number of things. He's a reviewer. He's a pundit. He's a critic. He's an analyst. He's an all-around funny motherfucker. And more than anything else, he's one of the best guys you're going to get to know here on the planet. And we're going to get to know a little bit more about Kristian Harloff in this conversation, and we'll see where it goes. You never know with him. And you never know when we get together where it's all going to go. But let's get to it now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show my friend, I would say my mentor at times, but an all-around great guy, Kristian Harloff. Welcome to the show. What's up, dude?
I tell you, this Manscaped nose trimmer is amazing. It's really
always plugging. Always
it's not even a matter of plugging. I plug my nose with this thing. It is incredible. I keep it by my desk, and my nose haven't been like an old grandpa in so long. Like, like where remember that, like, Look Who's Talking, when the baby sees like the guy with the hair coming out of his ears. I'm like, no more, because I have this. It is heaven sent. I love it. You can't use it on your balls though.
No, I like to use the lawnmower on my balls. Maybe they'll do a little ad on the Outlaw Nation show. That'd be a lot of fun too, as well. Everybody already going crazy. Got 173 y'all watching us live. Please hit that like button already. Hit that like button. You got Kristian Harloff here on the show. Hit that like button. Remember to send in your Streamlabs and your Super Chats. Going to be checking all that as we go through this. Kristian, it is July 20th or something, like 21st, whatever's going on here. Yeah, this is insane, dude. I mean, we are at just past the halfway mark here in the Schmoedown season 7. I would say that this has been the most unusual season of the show ever. And we were talking off camera before we started. Like, we've seen this thing from the beginning, certainly you from the beginning, and me almost close to the beginning, and seeing all the different changes that have happened. Would you say that this is the most challenging season you've ever encountered?
I mean, yes and no. I think yes,
and gratifying at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, yes, in the fact of challenging when you have, because the momentum that we had going into it and where it was, like we were having really great meetings, and the flow was just so good from what Dan and Ben pulled out in Atlanta, the hype with that, and then all the studio matches that we were doing, and how we were just moving. We had the free for all was coming up. The ESPN was going to write an article. We had Houston booked, so everything was just moving, and then just stopped. Like, yeah, and like everything else, obviously, in the world, but like that's just our side of it. So the challenging side is, well, how do you fix that? And so I guess it was challenging in a way of will people, considering that we just did these live events and we did studio matches, are people going to care if it just looks like what we're doing right now? Yeah. Like, we're selling this thing as this intense sport, and are people going to care? And the answer was, as much as I understand, like, me, I always sell it's a show. The show, it's not just trivia, it's a show, but the core of it is the trivia. When you have really good players and really good trivia, and the amount of talent that is putting their hearts and souls into it, the way that all you guys have been, it produces good matches. And you look with Laura Kelly and Ace and Demolanta and Scrimsh, everybody in the Star Wars, that it was on their shoulders. It was on the Star Wars. Like, the exhibitions were cool. The exhibition matches showed us that we could do this. The exhibition matches showed, like, because the competition was good, and it wasn't even for points, because remember, we were originally going to do an Inner Geekdom tournament where just the winner was going to get points and nobody else. Right. And a lot of people started saying, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not sure. And then we didn't know if we wanted to put every match on, because we didn't know if it could work. And then we did exhibitions. Then it worked. Yeah. And then we said, all right, well, let's do Star Wars and use that as kind of like the guinea pig, put it on Twitch. And it was wildly successful and great matches. And I heard you and Ben talk about it many times, how it was like one of the best tournaments you've ever seen.
It's the number one tournament I've ever seen. Absolutely, bar none.
Now you look at what's going on in the Inner Geekdom tournament, and it's just as crazy. Now you look at, like, the fact that we were able to do that in front of that Skybound Expo audience. So it was challenging in the fact of, like, how do you pivot? Like that's always a challenging thing. But once you're in a flow, and because my biggest challenge was trying to figure out how to do, like, those the speed rounds, because otherwise I couldn't have got the Irwin versus Rocha match for Nets versus Chandru. And I don't know how I came up with it, but I was thinking, and I was like, okay, what if we did the speed round kind of like this? And I had called Sam Levine, because he's pretty good at the game stuff, and I had a version of it, and then we started bouncing back and forth, and I was like, well, what if we do it this way? And then we kind of bounced back, and I came up with this version of the Win Ben Stein's money thing, and now like people like that better than the actual one. So
I agree. I like that idea. It feels a little bit fair. It also has shades of what we used to do when we first started doing the show, the Schmoedown. That first round was like, one person gets asked 4 questions, the other person gets asked 4 questions, then another person then so it feels reminiscent and still within the bones of the show itself.
Yeah, but the difference this time being that you get the same set of questions.
Yes.
Last time you got different questions. Had that would have been because it's funny you say that, because initially we thought about doing something like that where you'd get the same and then another person came in like, yeah, it's not the same. You're not on the desk. But for one round, doing it in the middle of the match for just championship rounds, because even it's like, how do you do that for live events? And I thought about it. Imagine if it's like you versus Merle in front of 1,000 people in Chicago, and you get to the fourth round, and then you have to be taken backstage with like headphones and a blindfold. Someone takes you behind it. You can't listen to it. They're walking around with you, and then they bring you back. The excitement behind it, people are like, oh crap, now they're bringing them back. They don't know what it is. And the audience will know like what they got wrong, what they didn't, and it'll be pretty nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. Well, and the thing was with us as players, man, what I've accepted by now, and, I'm different than other players. I'm not constantly in your ear about one thing or another. I mean, I used to be way back when, but like now it's more like, well, what's now it's more like, well, whatever changes, I just like accept that as part of the show. There's always going to be changes. Even 7 years in, we're still kind of like a little bit of a child, kind of figuring things out and walking and running now. And now, kind of now have to have relationships with other human beings. And so we're still building as a league overall, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. 7 years is not a lot of time at all. When you think of we haven't even, I think over the last year and a half, people really and I think that the inclusion of the draft and all really cemented the sports element of it, because I think more and more people, especially the hardcore fan base now, accept it as a sport. You can't watch that Cabrera and Dimolanta match and not consider it a sport.
Right.
I remember when that was the goal and the idea of doing it, that like and I'm sure we'll get into this in this conversation, but like my dad always told me that people are always going to doubt you no matter what, and that's just human nature. You can't feel ill will towards them. You can't be angry at them. You just have to understand that people are always going to doubt you because they don't think they can do it themselves. So when I was saying it's a sport, it can be a sport, and so many people, especially in the Facebook group, would say it's not a sport, dude. It's just trivia. It's not a sport, dude. Nice try. It's just trivia. People say that, and I'm like, same thing that I said to what my dad would say. I was like, you just got to prove it to them. You just got to prove it to them. And so I think we're doing more of a job of doing that. And I think we have a long way to go.
Yeah. I think both of us are kind of built that way, not in the same way, but certainly have that same characteristic in that, like, people doubting us is something that we're just used to. And we just kind of roll with it and keep pushing to create whatever we can create and build what we can build, And I take it in a more adversarial approach. You take it in a more like, this is part of the game. I've always expected this. This is what my father told me to expect. Right. So it's all part of it. Doesn't affect me. I keep doing and creating what I'm doing. But are there any other moments, man, when you kind of like are by yourself, or maybe just driving the car and you just kind of go into that place of like, well, is it really going to work? Is it going to work? Or do you just have a kind of a confidence inside you that it will in some way pan out for you?
It's not a will it work, because I have a thing, like I can, I don't want it to sound cocky, but like I have the same thing on stand-up comedy. Like I knew when a joke would work and I knew when it wouldn't. I knew that even if a crowd that particular night, if my delivery wasn't on, I said, there's still something I didn't deliver it the right way. I know it'll work. I'm just not delivering it the right way. Yeah. So I have to look at that and say to myself, okay, well, if I feel the energy on it and I know I can read the audience on what they did there, that I know that joke will work. And I crafted that joke, and then that joke became like one of my closers, right? It's the same thing with the Schmoedown. Like, you can't, when you walk into an audience of, let's say, Chicago, of 1,000 people, and they're screaming and yelling, or you go back, we just posted on the Clips channel that reveal of the Horseman, right? Of when it came out. And that's show running, right? That's coordinating. That's being able to put together a thing. Right. And if you put together that bit, and those people, let's say there were 400 people in the audience for the Horseman, or 500 for that night, if that lands like a fart in an elevator, right? And people, it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. Whatever. Then you go, well, that didn't work. We gotta maybe this thing isn't working. But when 500 people scream and lose their minds and are wrapped into it, then your head says, well, if it's marketed to the right people and the right audience finds it, then we should be doing 2,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 people at a live event. And it's a matter of like I ignore now when I have like, you know, if you put it on the Schmoedown channel and people, there's still people who would subscribe to Schmoes back in the day and they see that I'm not watching the Schmoedown shit, and they've never seen it before and they don't try to even invest in it because people are stubborn, and I get it. But we've got to find that different audience. So I get frustrated in the fact that I got to find the hardcore audience is it's the best. It is. The Schmoes Know audience was incredible. The Schmoedown hardcore audience is the best audience I've ever dealt with in my history of doing anything. Because they get it and they understand, and the passion behind it, like they've gravitated towards it. Like you look at all these podcasts that people have created, and people just are real. So that's how I know that it will work on a bigger scale. It's like, because if it works in a scale of that many people with that kind of reaction, it'll work on a bigger scale. So I get frustrated about it's not moving. To me, it's always not moving fast enough. Right.
Well, and that's the thing that drives you overall, this idea of to, you know, get to that position. I mean, because we've seen you already, or at least I've seen you as a friend of yours. I've seen you progress into things and then progress out of things and move to the next level. You know, there are moments where you wonder, okay, what's the next step? And then you go like, okay, I'm going to show them. There is that desire to show them, you know, and I love that about you. It's one of the things that we connect about all the time is this, you know, the push forward. There can be something here, because even within the production staff, when we first started doing this, and I'll speak on this, sometimes people would say, like, it's just a trivia match. It's just like they would denigrate it while they were still making some money off of shooting it. So, I mean, even within the production staff, you at times have had to like show people or push past those kind of attitudes of people who didn't really believe that this thing could achieve what's been achieving for 7 years.
But even that's okay though. Like I never took like any ill will off of that, because it's not for everybody. And the way that you and I gravitate towards it and are fans of it is, even though that there are other people that have been involved in it in the past that didn't get it. Like there were certain people that didn't get it, that worked so hard on the show that they made it was. There was stuff that but yeah, it's like the statement of it's just, why do you take it so seriously? It's just playing movie trivia. I just think that's not looking at a big picture, because that's the same. Someone said that about baseball once. Someone said, "Why? It's just people throwing a ball in a you know." And eventually, it's over 150 years, whatever it was. That it was. So when I ran a boxing league in my in college, it was the same thing. Like I ran that, well, you just want people to, you're just gonna buy, no one's gonna come watch that. And then it went from, and I would do interviews. I would take the video camera and I would interview people for like interviews, and they would say, why are we doing this? No one's gonna care. And then you fast forward, and then we would sell out. Cops would come and watch the damn thing after Tennessee Street shut down at 2 a.m. People would come, we would charge I think it was dudes were $2, ladies got in free, and we did big cards, and it was the most popular thing on campus that we would be doing. And then those same people that didn't want to be interviewed, now they're like, hey, when are you going to interview me? When are you going to put me in the promos? When are you going to do this? Because it's like when someone doesn't think that it's going to work or be serious, it's not serious until it's serious.
Right. Well, I mean, you're able to get so many people to invest in your vision on things. And look, you can go up and down the rosters now of the factions within the Schmoedown, and there are an insane amount of people who are quite accomplished outside of the Schmoedown, and yet they're willing to come into this thing and take a chance and endure some of the wrath of the fans or the comments, both positive and negative, just for a shot to be a part of this thing. And you've always, in my experience, you've always been able to do that. What do you credit that to? What is it? What is the special magic that you have that maybe someone else who wanted to do something like this can't quite get people to fully invest in their vision?
It's cliche, man. It's just believing in it.
Yeah.
It's really all it is. It's just believing in it. Because if like I said beforehand, like if I listen to every single person that said it's just movie trivia, or what I remember a close friend of mine or my wife and I at a comedy show one night, and I just started doing Schmoes Know, and she had said to my wife, and not in any way that was trying to be mean, but the doubtful human nature was like, why is he doing movie reviews on YouTube? Like he's gonna do anything with that. Like there's not like why is he's gonna be a YouTube guy? Like why? And then, you know, fast forward to now. I mean, she's a sweetheart of she's a good friend of mine, but it's just an example of if I would have listened to that, like, oh yeah, like why am I can't do anything here, or yeah, it is just movie trivia. I mean, oh, no one's going to care about this wrestling thing. No one's going to care. It's not. No one's going to care about this. If I started doing that all the time, then you wouldn't believe me. If I said to you, hey, you know, I kind of like this. I mean, I think that this could work. I mean, maybe you put on like a hat and like, you know, and we do like I don't know. What do you think? You'd be like, I don't know, man. But if I say to you, John, you're gonna be a heel, or come out like you can be like the outlaw of the Schmoedown. You come in and you start like cracking on people, and you hit interviews, and you get, because you also have to know who you're talking to. Like I know you so well, and I know what drives you, right? And I know like if there's something there that I can offer to you as a competitor, as a performer, then that's going to get you excited. Yeah. And so when I say to Ethan Irwin, who is not necessarily, I mean, he's in his heart of hearts also is more of a performer than people really understand. I
agree. People discount that all the time, buddy.
The guy did stand up for me a couple times too, and he was really funny. But anyway, what you do for Ethan is Ethan likes to be the guy that knows more than you do. That's just how he's always been. He's the best, and I've known him for a long time. But he likes to let you know in the sweetest way possible that you're dumber than he is. That's how he's always been. And I knew that if I put him in the Schmoedown, that I could cater to that. I could cater to Jeff Snyder's his ego. I can cater to, there's ways you can cater to everyone, you know, and like you have to have conversations, but you have to learn them though, and you have to understand like what they want. You don't want them to be uncomfortable, and you want them to be it's always going to be what's in it for them, as it should be, right? Because especially in the beginning when we weren't paying anybody anything.
Yeah, right.
We couldn't, but like now it's like we're paying people, and I was on the phone with somebody last night, and I was like, look, I want to get this particular person back, and I can't wait for the day where I can offer this person this to compete, to make it worth their while. I'm not there yet. I will get there, and that's why I always encourage the audience, if you can join Patreon, if you can, if you're able to financially, especially now, it's harder to do, but if you can, if you want to look at those pay-per-views, if you can share it, if you can do these things, if you love it the way that we do, and get more people to watch it. It's also why we came with that Clips channel. Because it's so much more like digestible for people to see, to say, oh, that's the vibe of this thing. I get it. Right.
And look, I mean, we've run the spectrum here. It has to be said, right? We've got people from different walks of life. We got, you know, of course, men and women. We got, you know, black people, Asian people, Latino people, white people. Everybody has a platform or a possible platform to create within the Schmoedown with a built-in audience. And that must attract people to now where you were trying to convince people. Now you probably are in a situation where people are knocking on your door constantly going, I want to be a part of this. I want to be in this.
I think that the difference is, again, it's another yes and no answer, is that there were so many people when we started on, like, you know, doing it on Collider, where it was different. It was different on how people would want to perform, and it was just like, all right, let me be on this show. And then once they kind of caught the bug, they wanted to do it again. Now what we have is because it's been around for 7 seasons, that people will be watching from the comfort of their own house and say, I can do this. I want to do this. And you look at like the Chance Ellisons and Paul Oyamas, and now, I mean, new people coming in like Marisol McKee and Adam Parker, Jen Kemp, like all these people that are coming in now, like they were fans and they know the game. That's a lot easier to deal with than people that didn't know what it was beforehand and kind of evolved with it. Because like you listen to like Rachel Cushing famously say when she was on your show that like it's when she started, she was used to watching the Schmoes Know show and kind of goofing around, watching her friends play trivia. And then she said, I want to do this too. And then it evolved into like this thing that it is now. And now it's not like she's a great competitor, one of the best that we've ever had, and she's a competitive person in general. But at one point she said, it's just evolving past something that I'm comfortable with, because that's not what it was when I started. Now these new people that are coming in, it's exactly what they were watching, and now they're involved in it, and now they want to really be part of it. And I get messages from managers now, which is the best thing I ever did, was having managers communicate.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Competitors. But the managers will say, hey, so-and-so has a pitch on character and ideas and things of that nature. And it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about like telling people now, hey, this is a show also. They know. Right. They know. And beforehand, that was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's go all the way back, man. Where were you born?
Ralph's, in the back of a Ralph's.
Was it Ralph Biscuits?
Yeah, I don't know. No, the supermarket. I don't know how it happened, but I woke up in the frozen fruit section. In Queen. Well, it was in New York, but it was. I want to tell you Massapequa. I don't think that's not just where my mother was born, but I was in the long.
This is not a tough question. What are you doing stumbling around?
Long Island, like in the hospital on Long Island, but I was brought up in Queens and Bayside. All
right. Now, are you the oldest of the family?
Yes.
Wow. So there's a certain level of responsibility you must have felt from the beginning in this situation, because it almost feels like you're the Papa Bear of this Schmoedown situation. So, do you think growing up that this was kind of something? Was this instilled in you from your dad from the beginning, of responsibility for people, for your fellow brothers and sisters coming up?
You know, it's so weird, and this is like, and I have no problem going over and trying to figure out all this stuff as when I was like from being age 1 to like 10. I told my wife this the other day. I don't remember much before I was like 10 years old.
Wow.
I really, like, if you ask me certain memories, I remember being like, there's a couple that I pull back. I remember being like at the zoo with my dad and a couple other things, but I don't remember much about, and certain things I do remember. I wonder if I remember because there's pictures of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're wondering if you remember because you saw a picture, not because it actually happened.
Like, so for perfect example is like when my brothers were brought home from the hospital.
Yeah.
And I remember like, oh yeah, I remember like when all these people were there and my parents got back from the hospital. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I saw a picture of that. And then picture that. I don't remember shit from like that first like 10 years. I don't remember much. So I don't know the answer to that. If it was really installed. I know that I was different. I was a different type of student up until like 5th grade. And then that's when my parents like split up.
Okay.
And then I chose to be say no, I don't want to be I don't want to worry about school anymore. I'm just gonna make fart noises in the back of the classroom and do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Yeah. So you were that kid. Okay.
I was that kid. No, I was a class clown.
And this is what happens, man. Whenever we get close to the emotion, here comes all the jokes and the fart noises and all the fucking stonewalling and defense meconisms. I love it. Yeah, see, there it is. There it is. Classic Harloff. That's classic Harloff.
But I was like, but it was a lot of that but I also, dude, I was hardcore into acting when I was like a younger kid. And I told the story once. I can't remember where it was. Might have been SEN. I can't remember. But I was on I could memorize shit like back and forth. And that's a skill. I said to myself, I'm gonna be like, I knew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be like a kid actor. This is amazing. And then I got sick. I don't remember, like, it wasn't anything like, it was just like
a polio or anything.
No. It was something. It was just like it was like a serious cold or something, right? And I couldn't study. I couldn't do anything. But my cocky ass at like in the 5th grade or whatever it was said, I didn't memorize a lot of this. Let me look at it like the night before. I can still do it. I can still perform. And I did. And I forgot my lines on stage in front of all these people. And I was the lead of the play, right? And all I remember is this girl, Tina Lopez was her name, right? Okay. And she knew my lines and she started saying them.
Wow.
To try to help me. And I remember her face. That I can remember. I can remember her face, but it just crushed me and it was devastating. My mom says, like, it broke her heart watching it because I just couldn't remember anything. It was clear like that. And to them, they didn't know, the audience didn't know that idiot doesn't know his lines, And so I was like, okay. So I just stopped and I was in some kind of acting program that my parents put me in, and I was in that, and I did that. And in the 7th grade, I think I kind of rebounded a little bit, did a show, but I was always fearing that was going to happen again. So I didn't do it again. I didn't apply for any high school plays. I didn't do anything. And I just didn't do it. And I always told it was the one thing I remember all the time that I would watch with my dad was stand-up comedy. I would watch those HBO comedy specials with him all of the time. We would watch everything and stuff I shouldn't be watching. I was watching Dice when I was like 11.
Dickory,
all this stuff. I was watching everything, and I was watching all those Dangerfield specials, everything. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, yeah, like I'd love to do that. Yeah. I'd love to do that. And then had it not been for stand-up comedy, I think that stand-up comedy was the thing that stand-up comedy gave me everything in my life, like from my wife to my jobs to everything. If you name one thing in my life, I can Kevin Bacon it back to stand-up comedy.
Wow.
Like that's
like your confidence to do things, right? Going up on that stage,
100%.
Conquering that, and maybe even conquering that moment when you did forget your lines on stage when you were a kid, going up on stage and, like dealing with a crowd that is kind of primed to heckle you or turn on you, being able to make them laugh, maybe working through that moment.
Because the difference with stand-up comedy is those are my words,
right?
Not somebody else's words. And I can, and it's also why I hated auditions so much when I came out here. I fucking hate auditions so much because I never got to do what I was good at on stage in an audition. It's like, oh, now you're next to a dog on a highway and look back and okay, now say what you're supposed to say. All right, great. We'll be in touch. Fuck off, Chuck. and like, so when I was doing like, stand up, I kind of fell into at Florida State.
Yeah.
And when all that, it just, when I brought it, when I was able to do it again in California, that's when everything just started to happen for me because I just felt a different type of, I wasn't a confident kid. Like when I was,
that's what I want to go back to, man. Before you jump into all the stand up in LA, man, I want to go back to this thing. Okay. So 10 years old, you're moving through your life. Were you bullied? Were you beat up? Or were you one of the cool kids? Did you revert to the fart noises to kind of get through school so no one would fuck with you? What was the thing there?
I reverted to the fart noises because the fart noises are funny. But yes, I also did that I would get laughs and stuff, but I was like kind of, I matured late. I didn't mature during those during the first like 8 grades, there was all these, it's funny too, because recently, whatever it was, like my big crush that I talked about on Clara Live, like girl Vanessa, right? So it was, she was like the one that I was like, oh, when you're younger, you have that one girl that Vanessa was the one, and Vanessa can give a fucking shit about me. Like if I was in a mullet, I was telling fart jokes. I was like, she was off with the dude who he was 12, but he looked 45. He was like a construction worker, but he was like, is that guy? Come on, how many times have I been held back? But he wasn't. He had. It's like, oh, that guy. Yeah, of course. He could crush me with like a grape. But I had my clique of friends that I hung out with, and and no, I was definitely not the cool kid. I wouldn't say there was some bullying, but not really, like
standard stuff, not overwhelmingly. You weren't picked on.
Situations that happen like sometimes and other things, and like I desperately wanted to be one of the cool kids, and it's like, and it was, and there would be times of like, oh, okay, cool, they're gonna let me in the circle, and I had these conversations, and it's like it didn't happen, and I'm like, oh, and maybe that was always that kind of want of like, well, I know what I can do. I know that I'm funny. I know that I have this. It's like, why don't they? It's that thing that everybody has. Like, why don't people think I'm funny? Why don't they? And as you when you're a kid, and kids are dicks.
Yes,
like, I don't give a shit about like how you feel. And so, and I remember I've told, and again, I hate to repeat myself, but I told the story, like the condensed version of it is the thing that changed my life of being that awkward kid of, this sucks, of just being like, this is the same thing, like nobody really gives a shit about me. Is when I went to California when I was in the 7th grade.
Okay.
My mom went and stayed. It was weird because my friend, his name was Matt Dillon, strangely enough. But his parents his mom lived in California. But he was living in California a little bit, but then he came in to go back in New York and like stay in the summer. But his mom had invited my mom to stay with her for a couple of weeks. And so she took my brothers and I to California. And this was like going to another planet for me. I never, like, California, what's that?
Right.
Like San Diego. And I was like, okay, I'll go to California. And I just, like you talk about, like you asked, was I the cool kid? I was for those 3 weeks. I was the New York kid. I was
right.
the kid. I was good at air hockey, so I was playing air hockey and beating people at air hockey. Right. I was, I had this confidence that I hadn't found before. I don't know why, but like I was talking to girls and everything. I was like, this is like, girls gave a shit that wanted to talk to me. So I'm like, what is this magical place? And I came back to New York, and it was the same shit that it was before I left. And I was angry because, my parents were divorced and all this stuff was happening. And I just, but in my head now was California. And it was like, you got to get back to California. So all the way through, from 8th grade to high school to going to Florida, to being a Florida State, it's like the end road is always California.
Wow.
Because of that, it's just amazing how strong of a thing that is when you're a kid, of what that means to you.
Yeah. When you were going through high school, did you were you studying the regular stuff? Like, was there any kind of aspirations to be an A student? Was there any kind of pressure to prove anything, or were you just kind of like doing your thing and figuring it out as you went through high school?
No, I just never could lock into school the way that I wanted to. The reason I did stay in school and concentrate at school, because I didn't want to let my dad down. Like my dad was always, my dad was pretty studious, and he was like businessman, and he was like, and you'd always instill, you got to study, you got to make sure that you stay in school. You can fuck around when you get in college, and then you get out of college and do your thing, but you gotta lock in. And so, but I was never, because I couldn't retain stuff, because whether it's, I've never been tested for ADD. I have no idea, but I can tell you that I have it. And I couldn't concentrate on it. I was either thinking about girls, or I was thinking about, cracking jokes, or I was thinking about, either making someone laugh, or trying to, or I would make like short movies when I was like, 13, 14. I was thinking about, I mean, they weren't very good, but the stuff like that, I was thinking about those types of things more so than I should have been thinking about school. And so that's, So
you had a performance gene within you from the beginning, like you spoke about. And that's really what kind of consumed you. It seems like through these years, like the thing that you kept coming back to that made you feel value, or made you feel like you could do something, was that performance gene of yours.
My laughs in the 8th grade is I remember cracking jokes, and in like 7th, 8th grade, to see if I could get Vanessa to laugh. And I would also see if I could do these other things, and I still did stuff in the 7th, 8th grade that people still talk about today. Like things that I did that I tortured my poor teacher with, but they were good bits. And like, so like that type of stuff, like, and my partner in crime was my buddy, Brian Cashew, who I've told you about, who's passed away in 9/11. And like, he was like, I give him so much credit, because he's the first person that his dad at the time, this was cool as shit. Like, his dad owned a video store.
Wow.
So this is back in the day when, like, before Blockbuster and all that stuff, like VHS, like, so like he got everything. So we'd be watching, and he had a laser disc thing, back in, nobody had laser disc, and he did. And he showed the two things I remember vividly that he showed me first was the first Terminator. I remember watching that movie when I shouldn't have seen it. I was way too young to see it, but I thought it was the coolest fucking movie I ever saw, and it terrified me in the best way possible. And then he showed me Carlin at Carnegie. He showed me. Oh
yeah, the stand-up. Yeah.
And George Carlin at Carnegie was the one. Yeah, it's my favorite special of all time. And he showed me that, and I just said, "Who is this genius?" Like at this young age, watching this guy again. Probably shouldn't have been watching it at the time, but Brian did that. And Brian also was, because, like I said, when there was this other pocket of people where I wanted to be a part of. Yeah. But they were like the cool kids, and they were doing all this stuff, and they couldn't give a shit about like superheroes and being like this. Not that they weren't creative people, but you know what I mean. Like Brian was. We'd make up characters, and we did this whole like fake rap album, and we did like we did comedy sketches, and we had tapes upon tapes upon tapes, and like when he passed, I wanted to try to find through his family. Because I knew he was so organized. I know somewhere he kept all those tapes. I would love to hear them years later, but it just like it was him that allowed me to continue to not worry about the coolness angle, just focus on being me because I didn't know who me was.
Right.
And
you were still navigating and figuring it out.
Yeah. I'm good at this. I'm good at being creative. I'm good at fucking around and just laughing and goofing around and doing that. And I want and as a kid, you should be doing that, you know. But you do get caught up. That's why I always tell my daughter, I'm like, don't worry about being cool. Just be you.
Yeah.
You know, that comes from that.
Right. When you were growing, I mean, you're growing up. You're the first born. Of course, your twin brothers behind you. I mean, as you were going into your teenage years, were you guys all just super independent, or did you feel that kind of big brother paternal nature as you got into your teen years for your brothers?
Well, the problem is like, so I'm about 5.5 years older than my brothers, and like, so when, you know, 81 is when they were born, you know, so so they were significantly younger than I was through a majority of it. And when I moved to Florida, I left Florida when like 95 or something too. So they were younger, you know, they were like 12, 13 or something.
And who'd you go with, your mom or your dad? Who'd you
move with? My dad had, so when how
did this divorce go out?
Well, the divorce itself was like, it just, you know, they had their own issues and everything too. But like my mom and I just for a long time until like, you know, I'd say over the last like 10 years, we're just didn't have, it was a lot of kind of different points of view. Okay. Right. And I think she was angry and I was angry and all that kind of stuff for a long time. So when I left, and when I say that there were definitely times in between that was, you know,
right, of course, like any relationship.
But the best thing I ever did was after I lived with my mom for a long time, then I lived with my dad, and then after I graduated high school, because I graduated when I was 17 in high school. And then when I went to Iona College my first year.
Yeah.
And it was only like a half an hour away from my house in Queens.
It's a good college, Iona.
It's a good business school.
Yep.
A good business school. But that I had no business being in a business school. But
you can't do fart jokes in a business school. Yeah.
You can, but dude, I ran illegal boxing fights at my dorm at it was right. I can't remember. It was Rice Hall.
Iona?
Was Rice Hall? Was Rice Hall FSU?
Oh, I don't remember, to be honest with you. It's been a while. Well, I know Tennessee C Street's FSU.
No, yeah, that I know, but I can't remember the name of this hall that I was at Iona. But I ran illegal boxing matches in the back, and I made a lot of money off of them. And then I remember the guy who was running the dorm. He came to me. He goes, "I know what you're doing, and you're gonna stop, or I'm gonna get you kicked out of school."
Wow.
And I said, "All right, I'm gonna stop." So I stopped the boxing match. But anyway, I left to go to Iona because I wanted to get out of the house. My dad had already moved to Florida.
Yeah.
He had gotten a job living in Florida, and then I was on the phone with him in the hallway of this dorm, and he said, "Look, you could probably easily, I don't know about, you know, transferring straight into Florida State, but you know, if you went to like SPJC for like, you know, a semester or two, you build up your credits and then they'll take you over Florida State."
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'm done with New York. I'm just done. The girl that I was with a girl for a long time. We had just broken up. So I was like, I'm going to go. So I just decided to move to Florida and go with my dad and live in Madeira Beach with him and just go to SPJC for a little bit.
And there wasn't a hesitation like, okay, I'm leaving my brothers behind. None of that stuff. He was just like, well, I'm done here. I need to go here. Right. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was that was the thing, because like, you know, like I said, my brothers at that point were like 12 or 13.
Right.
It was like,
so you're like, I'm good. I
was 18. I was like, yeah, I was like 18 years old. They were 12. I was like, it was 13. I was like 18, whatever it was. They were 7th, 8th grade. Yeah. And I'm like, it's time. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to go. Like my brother, Brian, and I were always very close. And my brother, Kevin, who had passed away he was very like eccentric, and we always, you know, got along, but like he was in his own zone, you know. But I wound up going to Florida, and then eventually my brother Brian would follow suit and go to Florida too. And then Kevin would follow. They were obviously they were very close, and then they all went to Florida State. But my journey started in Madeira Beach, going to SPJC.
Go to JUCO. Yikes, man.
Yeah, you know, that's where Professor Crow came from.
That's right.
He started there. Yeah, Professor Crow started at that's where it all went down. The origins of Professor Crow started at SPJC.
This is awesome. We got over 320 y'all watching us live. Thank you so much. Please hit that like button. Give it some love. I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Kristian Harloff. Let's jump into your super chats and Streamlabs before we go back to hearing more from Kristian. Larry Lee says, go USF Bulls. I mean, what? Who's talking about University of South Florida, man? I mean, does anyone talk about? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well said. Well said. Well said from Kristian Harloff there. Let's see. I might have to read some of these because you guys have been dropping a lot of great comments in here. So let's see. What's that?
I said dropping bombs.
Yeah, dropping bombs in here. 156 Impulse says, this is amazing. Thank you, Kristian, for making the Schmoedown. I love the competition, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. That tournament was amazing.
So
right?
Good. It's so good. Yeah.
So good. Oh, and 156 Impulse is a relatively new fan, has been popping up. So it's great to see how much he's appreciating everything that's happening. Ratson King says, no question. Just want to say thanks to Kristian for bringing the Schmoedown into my life. I never really had a community whom I could share my love for movies with, but now I do. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Do you take a little bit of responsibility that you're bringing people together? I mean, we've got Sam and Rachel essentially will be the first Schmoedown players, maybe wedding down the road. They're engaged. I mean, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've seen people who have done fan shows together that have gotten involved with each other. You know, there's other. Do I take responsibility for it? No, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see, like, you know, where it is cool to think, like, I mean, hearing Rachel and Sam, isn't it a crazy world where there's tons of decisions you could say, but had I not made the decision, It depends on what you believe in as far as fate goes. I have this conversation with my wife all the time, but it depends on fate. Like, are you the type of person that thinks that even if I didn't create the Schmoedown, that some way or another, Sam Levine and Rachel Cushing would have found each other? Now that's the fate. That's what my wife believes in.
Right.
I believe in the butterfly effect. I believe in the fact that, like, if one thing goes a different way, that's why I always tell people that if bad things happen in your life, you can't judge the past because you've never seen the future. Like, all of those bad things that have happened to you, or that happened to you, the worst thing in your life, eventually you will get happy again. Eventually the most tragic thing in your life, that eventually you will get happy again, and it'll all link back to that particular moment. It sucks to hear, and it's not easy to hear, and it's not easy to say, but like, even if you're in a corner somewhere crying, and what the fuck, how is this gonna eventually you will be in a moment where you're not in that moment, and it is the opposite of that, and you had to go through that moment in order to get there.
Right. Yeah. Too many people want to run away from pain or uncomfortable moments, but it'll eventually find you. It never lets you go. I've been watching I'll Leave in the Dark, or I'll Wait for You in the Dark, the HBO documentary on the Golden State Killer, and one of the things Patton Oswalt mentions is grief is not done with you till it decides it's done with you. You can't decide when grief is done with you. And it was like, wow, that's a really powerful thing to say, you know, because we always want to control things, but some things are not in our control. Yep. Let's see here. Calter Turak says, what the fuck, Rocha? Schmoedown Force Ghost? You were around since dirt was invented. Why do you think you are getting old now? Just remember that I was the one who gave the idea of dirt back in the college days. Hi, Kristian, and hit the like button. I don't. Okay. Yeah,
I know he's talking. It's a retirement conversation. You're the one guy, even though you think you're going to retire, I'll tell you why you won't.
It's almost time.
Because even if you step away for like 3 months, I'll put everything I own on the fact that there's no way you sit back for more than 3 or 4 months and say, all right, I need one more match. There's no way. Because the second someone else comes in that is firing off good character work or is doing this, or the second you've played in like 47 matches, as soon as someone, let's say you ended your career at 51 matches. As soon as someone got to 53 matches, oh shit, they broke my record. All right, I'll come back. You don't think I know who you are, motherfucker? Come on.
What, Bibbs is champion again? I want his title shot. I want a
100%. You know what? I'll come back, but I'm only playing one match, and I got a title shot. If that's the case, then I'll come back. That's what come back. Well, if you can guarantee me that I have so and so as my partner, and all right, I'll come back. I'll bet you $1 million that happens.
Maybe. We'll get you the Tokyo Dome. We'll see. Ferris Muthana donated super chat. Sorry, Ferris, couldn't bring it up on the screen. It says, shout out to the man who went toe-to-toe with The Rock in a scene. I salute you, Harloff Minor. Thank you. There you go. Right. You and The Rock.
That scene always comes back. It always comes back up.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny how that whole thing went down, because Shane McMahon was up to me. He's like, you want to do a scene with The Rock? I'm like, no.
Really? You said no?
Of course,
Wow.
of course I said yes. I was like, it's right as he was popping, as he was leaving. And we shot that scene twice. Like because the first time we didn't shoot it twice because I messed up, but I had said something. Like he said in the scene, he goes, excuse me, do you know where the APA is? And in the scene that you see, I say they're down the hall.
Right.
But in this take that you didn't see, I say it's down the hall. And he goes, in the scene, he goes, it's down the hall or they're down the hall. and I was like, they're down the hall. And so it was great. I told you that whole story, what he said to me when I saw him at the party afterwards, right?
No, tell me again, because people haven't heard it.
So like in the scene that you see, he says to me, and I had never seen, and I remember I was a massive fan.
Yeah.
Like I read into this a million times because I never understood it. I never understood it. As a Rock fan, right? Have you ever seen him go up to all the different places that he had, or different workers that he's gone up to in the past? He goes up to me and he says, excuse me, do you know where the APA is? Blah, blah, blah. And he improvised all this.
Yeah.
And I said, they're down the hall. And then he stops and he comes back and he goes, are you new here? Which I was. Mm-hmm. And I go, yeah, I am. My name is, and he cuts me off and he goes, The Rock. And he shakes my hand and he leaves. Yeah. Like I'd never seen him do that ever. Right. I knew where he was going with it. That's why I played into the fact where like I didn't say anything and we didn't rehearse that. I just knew because I knew how to play with him on that. And then, so I think that was like 90. No, that was 2001. So then what was it? 2000. It must have been 2003. 2 years later, maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, I'm at this party. It was a UTA party, right? And I think that was his agency that he was at, and he was there, and he was there for a birthday party, and he's sitting there with a whole bunch of people in this room, and I can't remember this guy, but it was a guy I was friends with, and he brings me over, and he's like, yeah, he used to work with The Rock. I was like, yeah, worked for him a little bit, and he's like, I'll bring you over to him, and he's like, hey, Dwayne, this guy used to work with this guy, and Dwayne's talking to a whole bunch of people, and he stops, and he comes over, and he goes, we used to work together. I was like, yeah, man, we worked at WWE. I was a writer for a little bit, and he's like, oh, what happened? I told him the scene. I recreated the scene for him, and we just talked for a while. Wow. Right. And then, and I was like, cool, man, I'll, it's great talking to you again and good luck to everything you do. He's like, yeah, absolutely. And we both stayed at that party for the rest of the night. So at the end of that night, he comes up to me, he goes, hey dude, it was great seeing you again. And I was like, thanks. He goes, what was your name again? And I go, Kristian. He goes, and I go, you son of a bitch. Like twice, he got me with it again. So like, it was great. Like he gave
That's awesome.
He gave me the Rock smile and he took off. But he was like, he was cool to work with then. He was cool to work with afterwards too. So like everything you see with him, like that you see, like that's the dude. That's the dude.
Biggest gift you ever gave me was letting me go interview him for the Baywatch thing. I mean, honestly, sitting in the same room with The Rock, with the belt, waiting 2.5 hours to interview him. Like it didn't matter. Just being in the room with him was everything. I'll always thank you for that. And the Jumanji one too. He
remembers it too, because just so I can kind of say it now. Like it was very close to having The Rock involved with the Schmoedown. I don't mean, I'm not talking about doing a match. I'm talking about being involved with the Schmoedown.
Oh my
God.
Yeah,
I had a thing last year that we were working on, but it was like, it was close. It was close. It was so close. It was so close. But I had great conversations with Brian. It was really cool. All the relationships that I had at WWE kind of came full circle. And I was talking to Dwayne's company and it went really far. It just, things, it just didn't happen.
Look, I know you got your favorites, but I get my shot with The Rock first. God damn it!
When I tell you that, I'm not talking about Jericho Smith stuff. I'm talking but this is before Skybound came in the picture. But it was a while ago. But it was, remember, were you at Comic-Con? We went to the IMDb. It was like at Comic-Con last year. It was crazy how all this stuff happened, and then Skybound came into the picture, and it was nuts.
It had to happen. Let's keep going here on these Streamlabs real quick. There's a TV. Mike Shea donated. He said there's a TV channel called TBD that shows YouTube and other online content 24/7. I don't know if Kristian or Skybound is aware of this, but if not, this is something that could be looked into to try and grow the audience. Maybe. Much love to you both.
What is that now?
It's called TBD. It shows YouTube and other online content 24/7. It's a TV channel.
How many people are watching it?
I don't know. Mike, let us know in the chat how many people are watching it, or send in another Streamlab, because I probably won't be able to see it in the chat at this point. Aiden Cossack donated. He said, super broke until I get paid tomorrow, but I wanted to say I've been binging the Schmoedown since I missed everything after the first collision due to personal reasons, and damn, everything has come a long way. I'm starting to want that belt on me. Oh, my God. If I had a nickel for every time these jabronis who are sitting at home think they can just waltz on in and get a belt, I'd be a millionaire.
For every jabroni, there's a Chance Ellison out there. There's a Paul Oyama out there. So you never know, man. Because what I'm sure that Oyama said that one time. You know, like that's like, you look at, you got to look at what both those kids, could call them kids. Both those kids did. You know, it's like, look at what Chance is doing right now. He's making a good run in the IGs. I mean, like there are people out there. It's a matter of how you transfer. Like, that's the thing. I think Parker, and this is what happens, you know, in general. Parker is super young, dude. That kid is 21 years old. I love Robert Parker. Yeah. I love that fucking kid. And I'll tell you why I love him, because not only he gets it. Yeah. Oh, he gets it. He understands. He knows how to sell it. Yep. He knows. And he, after his loss, dude. He took it on the chin, and like, we pre-taped that match, and he was still selling that match. You know how many competitors, after they take a match, you don't hear a thing from them on Twitter? You don't hear
JT's MO, man. If JT won, he was posting it all over the place before the match.
Now,
if he lost, you wouldn't hear it.
JT was all right with that stuff, but Parker, dude, Parker is on another level. Parker really won me over after the way that he reacted to that Chance thing.
Yeah,
he totally gets it. Like, people, and I told him, I said, look, the fans are going to do what the fans do. After you lose, they're going to say you're overrated. They're going to say, oh, people have built you up too much. You're overhyped. That happens. And what he says to me in the response is, well, I guess I just got to win next season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a fucking champion right there. I love that kid. I love Robert Parker.
Me too, man. I texted Kaiser right after I watched the match, and I said to him, because I knew what happened, but I watched it, and I said to him, I said, Parker's post-match interview was incredible. That's how you don't storm off. You don't mess up. Like, sitting there, taking the hit, answering the questions, and then calling.
He's a 21-year-old rookie, and he acts like he's been in the league for years. And
exactly.
I was so impressed by him, and I'm still impressed by him.
And every shot they took at him, he turned it around. He brought up Kalinowski's record. He brought up Chance's record. Yeah. And he brought up how Kevin Smets lost and came storming all the way back.
He's a student of the game, man.
He is.
Yeah.
Not just the game itself, but the history of it as well. Yeah. That's important. 50 Shades of Geek says, hey, Raring, I just rewatched Jim Carrey's The Mask because there was a question in the Parker versus Ellison match 2 weeks ago. I've watched The Rocketeer for the first time because it was a question in another match. I've never been a sports person and always had a problem fitting in, but the Schmoedown changed all that. It brought out something in me that I didn't know I had. And, it's kind of interesting, right, Chris? I mean, you're creating an environment or a community. We just talked about you being, when you were younger, like this idea of wanting to be part of the cool kids. It's like the Schmoedown has its own kind of cool kids community that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, that's my, first of all.
Hey, Rory.
my first thing that I always say my favorite comment was what that guy just wrote, was that I never really understood sports or got sports, but this is my sport. That's the goal. Right. That's the goal. And I'm sure a lot of people who watch esports feel the same way. Right. Yeah. Like, that's the goal. The goal is, you're a movie fan. You're a movie fanatic. You never feel like you really kind of fit in. But here's this thing. Here's this thing for you.
Yeah.
This is for you. And like, I love that. And I love that feeling. I love that community for it. And that's why, I talked about this the other day, and I even got a message from it yesterday where we talked about that, like that Facebook group, and like, I don't think people understand, like, collectively, are there in any community that you're in, there are bad apples.
Yeah, of course. That's always.
Yeah. I just think it is so what Kristen Smith and those moderators do over on that group, they're so great of making that group special. And like, for the most part, it's really the hardcore fans having a conversation. Are there times where certain fans say things about competitors unfairly and things that they wouldn't say about other competitors? 100%. And
to their face. Yeah.
And but they're saying, should it be moderated, and should they be removed or not removed from the page necessarily, depending on what was said, but should they be the comments deleted? Yes, and they are. So, but it is unfair to say that collectively as that group that group is bad, and that group, because it isn't. It's got a lot of hardcore, really, because that's where we talk to people in that group. And I had someone tweet at me this morning saying it is a toxic group. It's not. Things have been said inside of that group that I have certainly not approved of people saying, and there are other things. I cannot tell you how hard Kristen Smith and those people are working as admins there to make sure, because to me, if it goes unchecked, and if it goes where it's like, okay, you can say whatever you want, do whatever you want, don't address it, then I agree with you. But if those things are being addressed and those people are being either removed or talked to, and then they continue to do it and they're allowed to do it, then that's where the problem is. It's unfair, especially if you're not in there. If you're not in there watching it and you just kind of hear secondhand, it's unfair to say. And it's unfair to say to like the moderators and stuff who are really working hard to make that group special.
Yeah, fair. D-Train said, Tim Kaskuba said, good afternoon, gentlemen. Kristian, thank you for introducing me through Schmoes to so many amazingly talented people like Rocha. Was there ever a storyline that just didn't work out? Felt like there should have been more to the, he feels there should have been more to the Kalinowski-Brienne angle.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I mean, the Kalinowski-Brienne angle kind of, one of the things that Brienne stopped competing. So that was one of the things that added into it. The other thing was that we were, because that was almost like the first hint of, because Kalinowski was a face when that moment happened. He was basically just maneuvering around and trying to piss Jay off. That was what that storyline was. Yeah. It was going to add into more stuff. But then Mike had that opening match in that triple threat because Brienne was there with him. And Brienne was part of that, and Brienne was going to continue into that. And then that triple threat match happened, and then that all the belts thing happened, and I had to, again, pivot and say, well, what's more of an intriguing storyline right now? Is it this babyface guy who has just felt like the league has turned his back on him and trust anybody, that he can now, like, this guy that you don't expect. Plus, I just heard what he did on all the belts and the way that he did that. I was like, or is it trying to continue on with the storyline with Brienne, who's not competing anymore and everything too? And I had to make the decision out of the two, what was more of the important storyline. I went with corruption, and we tied off the Brienne storyline when he comes in and she's like, this isn't you, you got to come back. And he's like, and he even turns his back on her, the person that he recruited, because he brought her back from the dark side and she couldn't get him back. That was kind of the tie up of that storyline. Yeah. But stuff happens. I mean, because, people can handle it. People can't handle it. Sometimes it's too much. Sometimes it's, it just doesn't work out for their life or their career or what they're doing. And you have to adjust and improvise. That's just kind of how it goes. D-Train says, what are the chances of the Schmoedown getting picked up by ESPN in the future? Oh man, I think we're a while off from that. I think that the first thing we got to do. So if you be so kind, here's something to do, because I've already I love Tyler too. Because he's still writing the article.
Oh, please, Tyler, interview me for God's sake.
But what I did is I sent I've been talking. He's dude, and that guy, you talk about a brave dude. Yeah, Tyler's a brave dude. He posted some stuff up and things that he's gone through in his past, and he put it on his Twitter, and he's made a real name for himself. I got nothing but respect for Tyler, but anyway, what I before I had kind of seen some of the stuff that I had been texting, kind of going back and forth with him. He's like, no, I'm still going forward to it. But if the audience wants to ask a question like, hey, what's going on with that article? That's cool. So what's going on in the article? Go ahead.
Yeah. What's his Twitter handle? Do you know?
Yeah, I'll give it to you right now. Yeah. But sorry, what were you going to say?
It's another one, Drunken Prayer, as you find that Twitter handle. With the league getting bigger and by proxy the fan leagues, do you get an influx of new people asking to join? And how do you deal with that? In the past, you've mentioned how Smets auditioned, but never mentioned how Chance, Parker, etc. came up through the rankings.
So Chance, we were doing Chance benefited from storyline.
Yeah.
Because we were doing the Anarchy tournament, and I wanted to make sure, because there weren't managers and stuff, Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that Kalinowski had like an edge, and Kalinowski had an edge, and that Kalinowski was the one who found this guy and plucked him from obscurity. So you go back and you watch that moment with Thad and Mike, and he goes, and Thad pulls out and he goes, Chance Ellison, and Mike pulls on the charade. He goes, oh, what? Who's that guy? This is ridiculous. And then he goes, you want to put it back? And he goes, no, I'm all right. Because he knew what he was getting in Chance. And so I wanted to play the ringer angle So I had heard about Chance, and I had seen Chance. I knew about him through Late to the Party, and I had seen what he'd been doing. People had been sending me like his fan matches, and he was the like, and anything, the cream rises to the top, right?
Yeah.
And like he was, and the families were starting to really come about, and everybody was talking about this guy Chance Ellison, and Tim Franco knew him, and I asked Tim about it because Tim had watched like the Free for All with them, and I asked Tim about him, and Tim's like, no, he knows his stuff, and he's in the back, and he's answering things. He's like, and he's a pretty good dude. So I'm like, all right. So I reached out to Chance, and I just wanted to give him a shot and see if he could play the ringer angle. And I said, hey, would you want to be? And he's like, yeah. And I told him, and I said, well, could you play heel? And he's like, yeah, I could do that. And he's like, why? And I said, you want to know who your partner is? And he's like, yeah. And remember at the time, like Mike was the biggest star in the league.
Yeah.
Right. So I just sent him a picture and a GIF of Mike, and he's like, holy shit. so that's kind of how I brought him in. Paul Oyama, I'd also heard about Paul, but not into the same kind of way that I did Chance. But Chance and Paul were buddies, and Chance had Paul come to a couple tapings, and I talked to Paul a couple times. And Paul was living in LA at the time, and he just made it. Not aggressively, but just in conversation, he'd be very interested in performing, and he wanted to compete. And so we gave him a shot, and then and he did his thing and crushed it. The handle is at FIONN on fire, at FIONN on fire. He's a great dude. Don't harass him. Just ask him lovingly if the thing's coming, because I'm also a fan of his writing, so that's why I want to see the actual article itself.
Right on. Fireline Entertainment donated. They said, hey John and Kristian, it's me, Alan. Miss seeing you guys. Hope all is well. Keep doing what you're doing, and most importantly, be safe out there. Love you guys. All right, thank you. That's very kind.
Which Alan? Do you know?
What's that? Which
Alan?
I don't know. It says Fireline Entertainment. It's been a while since I've heard from Fireline Entertainment, but I hope they're okay. I'm not sure who Alan is. Fire Penguin Disco Panda says, hey, Kristian, what were some of your favorite Rocha voice clip outs? The Horseman Call, Damon's Ass, or just in general, what are your funniest laugh out loud moments with Rocha anywhere from the Schmoes, Collider Live, or SEN? I don't know.
I mean, it's tons. I think.
Are there tons?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we had for sure. I mean, I think Collider Live is where we really started to be able to do what you and I normally did.
Yeah.
Like that vibe of it was started to come about. But I mean, I think that just names, ball busting, those types of things. That's been around forever. But I also think that I always throwing it back to those live events, and my favorite thing is it's the calm before the storm, and then the after the show.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's
you never know what you're gonna get in me, do you? You can give me direction, but do you ever get afraid, like, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, because, people don't know that David O. Russell thing, that was as close as our friendship ever came to exploding. Like, that was, I was going to set everybody on fucking fire.
You took that out on Ellis more than you took it out on me.
I did.
On that one. You were really pissed at Ellis for that whole thing. And to Ellis's credit, Ellis handles those challenges and everything way better than I do.
Yeah.
He handles them way, because Ellis becomes like that stern dad, right?
Yeah.
Because I start to go into my player mode sometimes, and I'm like, all right, well, I kind of see what they're saying and where the argument is here, so maybe we go this way. Ellis is like, no, this is the way, boom, 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 and Ellis is normally right when it comes to that kind of stuff. So when he had said that, I was like, yeah, all right, let's stick with it, let's go with it, because I knew at that point, same thing like that, the whole thing that I've dealt with so many player blow-ups at the end, but I knew where you were, what emotion you were in, and there's realms that people play. Yeah. It's the same. Ben's talked about it, Bateman's talked about it often, is that you get into that spot. I mean, Kalinowski went through it too. It's like, yeah, at that day, and there are times that when it's, oh wait, they're just in that mode, and then there's times where it's like, no, they're really done. Even though that big blow up was there, that was a blow up from the reaction of the match. Yeah. It didn't feel like you were done. When
we've only ever had one real blow up,
like a real fighter.
That was at Collider one time.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Kristian Harloff told me to fuck off from the kitchen, and Thad had to come out because we were going to go. Listen, Harloff, I respect Harloff, but he knows we're both East Coast boys. When it goes down, it's going to go down. Thad had to come out. Maryland boy had to come out. Was like, all right, everybody back to their corners. Calm down, calm down. It was gonna go off. It was popping off that day.
I remember that. That was funny. But for example, like when Sam and Clark and Rachel all told me, like their conversations, when the retirement conversation comes, it's never from a place of blow up and
right.
Like I've seen people say, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not doing it, but they never actually do it. Even when Guy did that thing and they pissed off, he wasn't mad at the league at all, but he was upset with himself and he was done. And I talked to him that day. I was like, you're not done at this point. Like you can tell, when people aren't done yet.
Yeah.
But like when Rachel and Clark had the conversation with me, and they did not, and they made it clear they did not want to do what Sam did. They wanted to make sure that they defended, and that the problem was at that point, like we almost didn't have that corruption in Shire Wolves match.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
we couldn't find any time to shoot it because it was supposed to happen in Arizona, and Rachel again has been vocal about it. She didn't want to do live.
Yeah,
and then there was some other thing that happened. I could not get any time. So finally, Fernandez and Thad made a certain day on the weekday or something happen, and we were able to get it done. But they were adamant about the fact that they did not want to retire with the belts. They did not want to put them vacant. They wanted to at least either defend them, or lose them. Like they did not want to just give up the belts. They were very clear about that. And Sam was the opposite. Sam came in. He's like, "Yeah, buddy, I think I'm done." And I was like, wait. I was like, and I always started with, and I can tell. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I think I am. I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, he's done.
Yeah, right. In that moment, yeah.
Yeah. Now the question is, as far as like, I'm like, Sam, you'll never get the answer out of Sam. I think there's a lot of different reasons why. He was very busy, but Sam's a sports guy. I think Sam wants to always be remembered as the guy who hit the shot from a half court with two belts and then left.
Yeah.
And whether he confirms or denies that, he's a sports guy, and I get it. But he's also was super busy, and it took a lot out of him to do all the stuff he was doing professionally and to be playing at the top level on the two heated divisions.
Yeah, fair point. Joseph Curran says, "Hey fellas, thank you, Kristian, for the Schmoedown. It is one of my favorite things going right now. Question for y'all: what is y'all's favorite WrestleMania match ever? Also, what is your least favorite championship design ever? Thanks for everything, guys."
My least favorite design is anything that they do now. It just looks like trinkets and toys. It doesn't even look like belts. I think there's a couple new ones I think that the women's championship belt now looks pretty cool.
I agree.
That one looks pretty awesome. I haven't seen any of these new designs. But the product right now just isn't very good. My favorite WrestleMania match of all time, I've said it, it'll never change. It's Savage versus Steamboat. WrestleMania 3. I have heard a million times over that Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at that match is like the best, and I watched it, and I think it's a really good match. I think the problem is for me, I didn't watch it when it went down, when it happened, so I wasn't as hooked into the storyline of everything. And when you're watching it live, you're wondering if the streak's going to be broken, and you're wondering if Shawn's going to do it. So I understand that if that's where if you're attached to all of that when that's going down, then yes, that's 100%. I can see why that's your favorite. But for me, it's the athleticism and everything that Steamboat and Savage did in that match. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, we're covering it this week on Strong Style, the pro wrestling show here on the Outlaw Nation. We are covering that match, revisiting it, talking about it, talking all the wrestling news as well with me and Aaron Turner, who I met through doing stuff in the Schmoedown. So Aaron and I still doing our wrestling stuff, and it's going to be fun to talk about. I watched it again yesterday. It is just as good as I remember watching it when I was little, man. It's so good.
It's so good. I miss Aaron Turner's takes in the Schmoedown. He had those wrestling takes. He started the rundown.
Yeah, Turner is great. I love working with him, man.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a good dude. Let's see. Okay, we win a goldfish here. Says Kristian, we've been teasing it throughout this season in Outlaw Nation about the possibility of Rocha returning to being a heel. Are you open to the possibility of Rocha going back to a heel character?
Let's see what happens at the end of the year. Let's see what happens. I mean, there's still a whole lot left, and but people also don't realize that the matches dictate the stories. That's the whole thing. Is that Rocha also got Dan Murrell, who, if you're a wrestling fan, is Sting. He ain't going heel. So the founding fathers, they're still champs. So would I ever like to see him back, doing what he was doing back in the day? Yeah, but I also think I'd like to see that in the studio. You know? I don't know if I want to see Rocha the heel on digital.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But, we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Fireline Entertainment says, hi, John and Kristian. It's me, Alan, again. I know I sent a super chat a few moments ago. However, I wanted to make sure you got the full amount. I hope you guys are doing well, and I miss seeing you guys. Keep safe out there. Thank you. Appreciate that, Alan.
Thank you.
Cody Allen donated. He said, and he subscribed. Thank you so much. If you're watching for the first time, please subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel. There's a lot of content on here. This show happens every week, interviewing a great person from the sphere that we're in to talk about their life and what they've got going on. So thank you, Cody, for subscribing down below. And please hit that like button as well. I got almost 400 y'all watching us live. Hit that like button. Give us some love. Cody Allen says, good to see Kristian on. I'm actually from right outside Tallahassee myself. Nice.
Oh, that's good.
There you go. Yeah. 50 Shades of Geek says we need The Rock in the Schmoedown. That's you kind of already have it, Kristian, with me. Yeah,
that's right. Well, we get Jericho. That's good too,
bro. If I could ever do a promo off with The Rock, Jesus Christ, that would just be great.
I know.
Yeah, for that, I don't retire. Corey Cameron says, Kristian, what was your first connection with movies as a kid, and what made you want to get into the movie commentary punditry space? Certainly one of the questions I had as well. So, Corey, what's your answer to Corey's question?
Well, the first movie that I ever actually sat through, coming from my father's ears, surprisingly to no one, is Empire Strikes Back.
There we go.
I sat through that movie, watched it, and didn't move, because every other movie that my dad ever took me to, I was running back and forth, up and down in the movie theater and wouldn't sit. But he was amazed that I actually sat and watched the movie and didn't move. Right. So it was the Empire Strikes Back that. And I mentioned my buddy Brian. We used to watch Star Wars together all of the time. We wore out those VHS copies of those things, and thought that Jabba the Hutt's "Oh Shooda" was the funniest thing in the world. So that's as far as that question goes, and as far as my love for movies and going to the movies, I would go. My dad would take me to movies all of the time. My uncle would take me also, but my dad would take me to movies every week. And what it was, like, I know a lot of people, when I didn't realize how this isn't common, that a lot of times, like, parents or people would take you to the movies and they say, what's out this week? Oh, that new Tom Cruise movie or whatever too. Nothing's out. All right, forget it. We won't see anything. My dad took me every week and he's like, well, what's out? What comes out this week? This comes out of these 3 movies that came out. What do you want to say? And we would see something. Wow. And we would see, like, and it was, I remember even when I was older, my dad's like, yeah, this movie with Bruce Willis is out. It's supposed to be a real piece of shit. This color in it. You want to see this thing? And I was like, yeah, let's go see it. So we watched it. He's like, yeah, it's a piece of shit. I was like, yeah, it's a piece of shit. So but we would just see a bunch of stuff together. Right. And I think that's why, just knowing a lot about it, I just know a lot about movies and talked about it. So when I came out to California, and I was doing stand up for a bit, and then and this is where I say before, don't go back on the past. And because I was really kicking ass at stand up. I was doing really, really well and becoming regular places and doing colleges and doing this. And then my ex-girlfriend that I was with in New York, I got back together with her, and she moved out. She moved to California with me.
Wow.
And after working at WWE, reconnecting with her, we were together as kids. Yeah. And then we're together for, like, on and off about, I would say, 3.5 years. Right. Yeah. Then we broke up through all of college. And then when I went back to WWE, and I would go back and forth and stay with my mom in Queens when I was living in Stamford. Yeah. I reconnected with her. We wound up kind of reconnecting. And then she came out and started living with me in California. Right. And at that time, when she came out, I was really making a move at stand-up. I just become a regular at the Comedy Store and doing shows at the Improv all the time and all this. And I was really moving and doing stuff. And then, she came from a different place. Right. She came from, like, as you would say, like, the real world, and, like, she's like, so when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? Like, if you're not a famous comedian soon, it's not, I was like, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Like, I got to keep, like, grinding. And like, so you're going out of town and you're in Tennessee now and you're doing this and you're doing that. But it's like no one knows who you are. And I'm like, I was like, but I got to keep grinding. I'm like, otherwise. And so she's like, you got to do something else too. So my buddy Trevor Engelson, who you talk about, I'm complaining about my ex. He was engaged to Meghan Markle, if that tells you anything.
Oh shit!
No. He was married to Meghan Markle. Excuse me. He was married to Meghan Markle, not engaged. He was married. So Trevor anyway was a good buddy of mine. Still is a good buddy of mine, and he and he and I had been pals for a long time. And he found me at doing stand up, and he helped me negotiate my deal with WWE. And I said, dude, I'm trying to like find a gig also. So what about stand up? I go, I'm still doing stand up, but I want to I'm like, what can I do with movies? You know, he's like, look, I got a buddy. He's got a job over at Village Road Show, and he's like, you want to see if he can get you an internship over there? I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. So So he hooked me up with an interview with this guy, Fred Klein, who to this day is like a really good buddy of mine. And Fred was a Yankee fan, New York guy, Star Wars fanatic. And he's like, yeah. He's like, this. So he hooked me up with this internship, and it was a really good internship the way that Fred ran it. It ran it, and it was very different from internships in general. You read scripts, you did notes, you had meetings with people, you know, you had like group meetings with like the top executives. Fred knew how to run an intern program. It was great. Yeah. So after that, around that time, I had gotten a job, and I had gotten a job because I was doing so much, and I got a little lazy, and I stopped doing stand up as much as I'm going to get a real job now, because I got a job working in Alcon Entertainment, right, as like a runner and doing all this kind of stuff. But it was an office job, and I was in there. I'm like, okay, so I'm with my girlfriend, and she's right, and I kind of took time off of doing stand up after going off of the full run that I was going on. Yeah, and I remember the guy who was running the shows is like, why aren't you doing stand up anymore? I'm like, you know, it's just a little bit. It's like, you know, I'm just kind of focusing on other things. And he's like, all right, man. And so when my ex and I broke up, I was in a very, like, I remember walking around LA just with like a fucking hoodie over my head, just like depressed. But it was just like unleashing like this beast, because at that point I'm like, well, I'm looking around, and the only thing I saw was like stand up. And that same guy who said, why aren't you doing stand up? I go, dude, I need a room. He's like, you got it. And he gave me a place to perform a lot. And then I got back into doing the Comedy Store a lot. And then I went back into just like really moving. But as far as getting into the movie space, I fell into it and it's like, and to be honest, and this is not to, and I'm very grateful for everything that has happened with, and especially because the Schmoedown wouldn't have happened with it. But like, it's not anything I wanted to do. And it's not something like when people look at me as a movie pundit, in my head, I'm going, oh, I'm a fucking comedian, performer. You know, it's like not a movie critic. I'm never like, it's like some guy the other day was just like, well, your movie reviews and you lost your edge. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, you started out, you had an edge to you when you're doing it. I'm like, I just posted a Spider-Man list. What? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm like, this is the kind of shit. Like, I don't.
People never satisfied, though.
But it's also why there's things I love, like the community. Like I'll be honest with everybody out here. Like if tomorrow I woke up and like the Schmoedown had, you know, the Schmoedown itself was pulling 100,000 views an episode, the channel, and it was all Schmoedown. That's what I would do. I would just do that. Do I love talking about movies? I do. But it's not, I think that the talking about movies and movie news and all that, I do think that it's kind of a thing of the past. I think it's a thing that happened that people did. And I think that movie reviews are still a very prominent thing, and people want to hear stuff too. That's why SCN Live is not all movie news. Right. We covered it in the beginning. It's more conversational, where you're just like, oh, let's just talk about it. But I'm not pretending that we're a professional news outlet doing it. Like, I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to do that, and I got sucked into doing that. And it's not to anybody's fault of their own. I used to come on to AMC Movie Talk to try to crack jokes and talk movies the same way they did Schmoes, and then for some reason people started taking me serious. And then I kept doing it, and it's like, I would I like performance. I like doing these types of things, and I like doing like someone had told me a while ago, you should give up on the Schmoedown because it's not going to go anywhere. But I've seen other things like that, and eventually people don't care. Well, I don't feel that way. I don't think that that's true. I can tell inside of when you go to live events and other things like that's what I want to focus on, and that's what I want to build. So you can come with me or you don't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're like you said, like I've said earlier, like I've seen you go into things and then move past it and move to the next level and move to the next. And this is like I can tell you're wanting to get out of this space in terms as a talking head or a pundit and move into where you're more the puppet master on these things and producing it and creating it and putting it out there for people to consume and being the Vince McMahon, like legitimately being the Vince McMahon of the Schmoedown. I absolutely see that that's your next step.
It's more fun for me.
Yeah,
I like that. It did break my heart though. Some guy sent me an Instagram message, and because it's not true. Some of the guy wrote to me and said that he's been a fan for a long time, and he doesn't feel like I'm as invested in SEN Live anymore. Right? Is what he wrote to me, and I said, and I didn't write back, but I just what in my head it's like I'm still invested. That's why I'm able to do. Because I have so much of this other shit going on like that, I'm lucky enough to be able to have you to host now 2 days a week, and I do 3, right? And that has helped tremendously, and being able to goof around. Be able to goof around and joke around. Like Brett was on last week, and we did that Jeremiah thing, and I would much rather do that type of show. Like when I see like Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino doing their show, just talking about whatever it is, like that's the show that I really want to do. Like I want to do that show, but the problem is if I don't lead with Han Solo or Orlando having a new series, then people won't click on that yet because they don't know what they still click on and watch the whole show if we do lead with that. But then there's only like, oh, it's like 6,000 people watched today when it was the funniest show we've done in 4 months. Like that, I'm over that kind of stuff. I'm over that the fact that, and like the other day with the whole King Kong trailer, Godzilla, that was my goof. And I fucked up on that because I thought it was an actual trailer. Right. Oh, it's like you guys are cracking each other up, and it was a lot of fun to watch. And it's like, why do you care anymore about? Well, you didn't talk about the story. Who cares? Why do you care so much about talking about the movie news stories if you've come to find like these particular personalities? And that's why, like when again, like I said, like that's the part of me that misses the stand-up part. Like I want to be able to do like what these other people have been doing, and they just tune in just for the personalities. And that's why the Schmoedown is it for just the personalities, because I don't want to have to lead with Marvel or the Snyder cut anymore or all this stuff. It's like I love that people like to talk about it, but it gets dull after a while.
Right. Well, it can be a foundation to duck into other things. Like you said, it leads to other conversations. So maybe if you don't have to adhere to it necessarily, but you use it as a launching point.
Well, that's why it's conversationalist. It's just conversations in up top. And that's the type of stuff that I like doing because when we're all together and now that the crew's back, even if it's something like if we are all together and even if it's something that I don't necessarily love. Yeah, I know that you guys are gonna want to talk about these certain things, and like Goddard is so fresh into this thing that he's going to be passionate about all the news coming out, and all this stuff coming out, right? Like, and I can sit back and go, okay, let them talk about it. All right, now let's move. When it was just me and Brett, and I had to cover all the news stuff again, dude, I wanted to smash my head through the computer screen. It's like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. That's a bullshit, right? And like I'm sitting there going, oh, another word, HBO.
Right. It's not your jam.
And it's just
all right, well, we got to rip through all these because there are people waiting to talk to us live, man. Quick questions, quick answers on these, Kristian. Rockin' Movies with Tyler said, hey, Raring, congrats on getting Jericho versus Smith. Besides The Rock versus Kevin Hart, what is a dream celebrity match you've been dying to make happen?
Well, I don't want to jinx it yet because I'm working on one that's really awesome. I'll put it in here for you, Rocha.
Oh wow!
Just to show you what I think. I just want to see your reaction.
I can't speak in it, but I'll react to it.
Yes. Right. This is very close.
All right. Hold on. Let me go to the private chat.
Yeah, and Wiley, be quiet. Don't say anything to anybody.
Yeah, Wiley, shut your mouth. Don't say a word.
Too.
Holy mackerel. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And anybody who's in there, if you leak it, I'll kill you. Let's see. Where are we? Let's see. Okay. Thank you, Kristian. This is from Hugo Chavez. Thank you, Kristian, for creating and steering an amazing, joyful, and absurd experience that is the MTS. Only been following you all since 2015, but the content you offer is what I look forward to most every week. How much of an influence was Howard Stern on you?
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Because he's one of the things I miss most about Collider Live, and and in general with Collider was the interviews that I would do, because one of the main reasons that people ask as far as one-on-one goes and other things, I do this show now, SEN, and especially now after COVID, from my house, right? So I haven't been, so I never wanted to start emailing publicists and saying, hey, bring so-and-so from the new movie to my house. You know, it's like I was waiting. We're really working on getting our own studio, and when we do, then I'm going to start making a heavier push to do interviews again. Right. But I never wanted to do interviews where it was, oh yeah, interesting, okay, great. I always wanted to talk to people, and that's what Stern would do. And Stern would just have conversations with people and listen to people and laugh at people. And when I did the version of when I brought one-on-one to Collider. And I think the first one I did was Dan Fogler, and then Clancy Brown came in, and I was like, oh, these are like people like just talking, so let's just keep doing. Leah Thompson came in,
Kurtwood Smith,
and Kurtwood Smith came in because Clancy Brown had such a good time. He then told Kurtwood, because then Kurtwood watched his interview and came in. So like and then it just started to steamroll, and then we started getting everybody on Collider Live, and I would always go into that, listen to Stern where he listened to them and he would have a conversation. Like, even if you knew there was a road that Stern wanted to go down, he didn't always stay on the road if another more attractive road came in to frame.
Absolutely.
Like, so when you hear somebody say something and you go, well, oh wait, he just said that, but I was going to ask this question, then say fuck it to that question and get away from it and go after what you think is the more important thing. And that's he's to this day, he's the best. Rogan's very good too, obviously, but Stern's the best.
Yeah, I have same point, same thing. Stern for years. For me, him and Mark Maron are the combo, and Simmons. Those are my three influences for the style that I have and the things that I do as well. So absolutely. Joseph Ashley donated, can whoever has the wheel to spin slow? Okay, whoever has the wheels to spin slow or hard on behalf of all factions. If they don't want to do digital, it'll be Vanna White's spin wheel, but on Zoom. What the fuck, man?
I think what they're saying. This has been recommended. I don't mean to insult anybody. I hate this idea. What they want to do is basically set up a camera for somebody and bring in a physical wheel and have this person their only job to do this.
It's just to spin the wheel and look.
I can't. Yeah, I don't want to have anybody do that. It's like what's my job today? Well, besides everything else you're doing, then we're going to turn the camera on you. Then you're going to look at the camera and you're going to like this. I understand the digital wheel at the live events too, but there is absolutely no chance at all we are getting rid of the digital wheel during this. It has been super helpful and it has been great. Having someone sit there and spin is just silly.
You can't have the Schmoedown angle without the digital wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Ferris Mudana says, Kristian, what's going on with the article? We answered that already, I think. Cheryl_Dick_Pants. Hey, Rocha, would you rather face in an MTS match Jericho or Kevin Smith? So pumped for that match. # Hector Navarro rules. LOL. Jericho, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because Jericho. Well, that's the thing. It's even my wife, who she had heard the announcement that Jericho and Smith were playing, and she says, "Well, Smith's going to kill him, right?" And I said, "Look, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know enough about Jericho, right? And I also don't know the kind of recall on Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
So." I don't. You would have to say that Kevin Smith is going to go in there the favorite,
right?
But who knows? Because you look at Rachel Cushing. Rachel Cushing is an editor for reality TV, right? And other things besides just that. But if I didn't tell you anything about her, and I said, okay, this she's an editor. She's worked on this show, and this show, and she's going up against professional film pundit, I don't know, Coy Chandru.
Yeah.
You would give the edge to Coy Chandru. And in reality, Rachel would smash his face.
Right.
But you don't know that because you just take, you say like the person involved in film is going to be better.
Right.
So I would say that Smith is probably the favorite, but I'm not going to look. If you look at what Jericho has accomplished in his overall career, you never count the man out.
He's a competitive guy. There's no way. I mean, Nicky Novak used to go, or does probably still go on his podcast and talk about new movies. Jericho speaks about them knowledgeably. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Jericho could take Smith in the match. Haskell 420 says, hey guys, thank you, Kristian, for coming on Outlaw Nation. That TBD TV network, I'm tweeting you the website. In LA, it's on station KTLA channel 5.4. I don't know what that means. A new free broadcast network for most entertaining stuff for the most creative creators, and put it on your TV. There you go. Fireline Tim says, LOL, I'm the Alan that is a huge supporter of the Schmoedown and the guy that wants to do a Crow Sting character for the Schmoedown League. I also did that fan video for Rocha on how he became the Outlaw. I hope this helps you remember. I know it's been a while. Okay. Oh, yeah, Alan. Right, Alan Moser. Yeah. I remember now. Absent Good says, what's up, Rocha and Kristian? I had an awesome time meeting y'all in Atlanta, a.k.a. Black Atlanta, LOL. Quick question for Kristian. What are you doing to bring more color to the Schmoedown? I love what Winston is doing on Team Swag. Keep up the awesome work, guys. Kristian?
The answer to that is finding more and more people that want to compete. It's like I said, there are a lot of people that we reached out to. There are a lot of people from all shapes and sizes and genders and colors, everything, that want to be a part of it, and simply either not good at trivia, we have enough managers, or they don't know about it yet. So the answer is we are always listening. As far as what are we doing, we're asking. We're more and more people, finding more people to come in. And I think, well, like I said, look at our final four on Star Wars. It was 2 women and I believe Andrew DiMolanta is Filipino. And Andres Cabrera is Latino.
That's right.
So it was the first time that there was not one white dude in the finals. And that's not to say that's a good thing. It's just a different thing.
Right.
I'm not on that side of it. It's just of just saying, I think everybody deserves an opportunity, but it was very different to say, finally, like, look, this league is changing. This league is different. Everybody has an opportunity. Everybody has a chance to do more. Look at Chance Ellison. Right. There's Paul Oyama. There's so many different people who are stepping up now in general. Andres Gallego is he's debuting on soon in the tournament. I look forward to seeing what he's doing. Marisol McKee, a lot of new people kind of coming in and changing the overall landscape and look of the league.
I feel like if you don't know that there's more color being brought in the league, do your research. Go look at all the factions. Go look at all the different people that are coming into the league who are of color and have been. Look, I'm one of the first people. So people always seem to discount that. Maybe I'm not brown enough, but I'm one of the first people, Latino people of color, who won championships, who made a character, built something. So the Schmoedown's never been an all-white league. Never has been. Not from maybe the first season. And then what JTE is Latino, so not even from the first season. So all the way through, it's always had some color. It's grown, and I'll say, I always push back on people. Kristian has asked many women and many people of color to be part of this. They just look at it, and sometimes for them, it's just not for them. But that's not from the fault of trying. I think you've always wanted to be inclusive in this situation. So.
And I don't take any emirates at all from the question. I think it's a question that should be asked all of the time. I think it's
absolutely
because for me, I'm looking for the next star. I don't care who they are. I want someone who's just going to kick ass. I want someone that you're going to look up to, your friends are going to look up to, my daughter's going to look up to. I mean, my daughter was, she was like Rachel Cushing and Clark Wolf. She couldn't get enough of them right now too. I'm looking for someone for her to get her back into it, because those were her two competitors. Like when Rachel Cushing and Clark, she could not miss a match. So I'm always looking for the next star of any ilk.
Yeah, there you go. We've got to rip through these. People want to come in live, man. How much time do you have?
I'd say 5:15, probably.
5:15. All right, 5:15. Give me the 5:15.
Let me see if I can push it to 5:30, but let me see.
Okay, all right. Just don't go long-winded on these answers. Then we can get all these things in here. DGM. What's that?
Did you just meet me?
DGMC says, if Dan is Sting, does that make Rocha his Lex Luger? Fuck no, man. I'm not Lex Luger, for fuck's sake. Lex Luger didn't have 4 titles. Cheryl _Dick_Pan says, hey, Kristian, when you get Dorina on, are you just going to bomb her with fart sounds? That would be amazing. There you go. Maybe. D-Train says, at some point, will there ever be a movie debate show similar to what Screen Junkies did with movie fights? They don't do that show anymore, so there shouldn't be any problems. Would you want to?
No, I don't think that's not our, that wasn't our thing. I think that while there is a debate show, I think that what call to action is done with Schmoebaits is actually really interesting. I'd like to see that kind of carry over. I like the idea of people kind of transferring over and arguing like the greatest like Schmoedown moments, because like you said, I think Screen Junkies took that and did that already with it. So it's like that was their thing. And it's not to say that you can't corner the market in a debate show. You just got to do it differently. But it's not something I think that I'd want to expand on the trivia aspect more so than I'd want to on debates, because I think debates, even when as much as I love the Schmoebaits show too, it's the same problem that I had with all those debate shows. Like, how do you declare a real winner without controversy?
Yeah,
right. It's like right now the way that they do it is that they have the polls decide, but the polls you might put that out on Twitter and they might not even watch the match, and they think whatever answer they like, they didn't even see the actual debate, and then people do it, and it's only while it's live. There's no other judges doing it. It's tough. I mean, and it's the way that they want to do it, and it's their show. But it's like debate shows are very hard to do.
Yeah, they're not an easy thing. Again, almost 400 of y'all watching us live. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Give us some love here on the Outlaw Nation. Going to get through all these and jump into people live. Let's see here at some point. Okay, Jonathan Carroll says, hey, guys, thank you for the Schmoedown and your involvement. Love playing alongside during the matches while watching them and sometimes winning against the competitors. Stay safe, y'all. Oh, please.
Wait, what was that?
He says he sometimes wins against the competitors at home by himself. Yeah. And he says,
that happens all the time.
Yeah, give me a nickel again. Deflated Brady says, I would love an all nonsense show. Yeah, certainly possible. Hill Nellum, there it is. Hill Nellum says, friend took me to January BK event, Brooklyn event, for my first MTS experience. Since then, I've been able to discover great talents like Rocha, Winston, Jay, Mulligan, more. So just to thank you for all you do, I've started to revisit even old Schmoes shows. I love Drunk Knapsack.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me too. But that's also one of my favorite things too. Like, where I've said this before, when we do those meet and greets before the live events start, and you get the hardcore fan who goes, "This is my friend's never seen this before," and the person said, every single time I've seen this happen, the person goes, "I don't know what this is," and then they see it, and they come back and they go, "I love this." Like, I love that. It's my favorite, because I got to a point though, John, too, at the end where it started to happen more and more, that I think it was it may have been Atlanta that it happened. And I said, oh, here we go. I was like, here it is. And I found that person at the end, and it happened like, it always happens. It was great. And I think it's the kind of like the atmosphere of the live event that people.
I think human beings are naturally competitive. It's irrelevant of sport. They're just naturally competitive. That's why we get upset at our bosses, or we get upset at coworkers, because we think people are trying to take stuff from us, or we want to really accomplish or achieve or move up. Like, we're just naturally competitive people, not even in a business sense, just in life. You want to be that first person online to get something, or the first person on your block to have that thing that everybody else wants to have. Molly Damon donated. Hey, Molly, thank you so much for watching. She said, thanks to both of you and so many others for encouraging me to be a part of the Schmoedown. Lots of love. I love Molly in the Schmoedown, man.
She's the coolest. Great. She's the coolest. She's just, I mean, I've been a fan of both those, both demons for a long time. And I never wanted to like overly push Molly, because I mean, I know how knowledgeable she is, and she helps run that challenge, that thing, but you never want to push somebody into something they're not comfortable with. But I always felt like Molly there was something there, like she wanted to do it, but she just wasn't sure. And I think that the thing with Molly is that when you debut in your first match in front of 650 people, and you know that you could do better than you did. That in your head you go, because she didn't do bad, but you know what she really knows, and she had said it, like she just knew, there was a couple that she got caught up in it, and so she's like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this again. But there was something burning there, and I said, because the thing was, a lot of stuff people are not talking about with the draft, and to be fair, maybe Molly can correct me on this, but I was pretty sure that one of the reasons that Molly wasn't put into the draft in the beginning is because she wasn't too sure if she was going to compete. She said maybe at Celebration she would do it, but she doesn't think she wanted to do it. Then something changed during like free agency. She's like, I want in, and I'm like, hell yeah, because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, she's like one of the coolest people. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then she did, and she won over the hearts of everybody before she even played. Yeah. And now and she sent me such a like sweet DM about how into the Schmoedown she is now, and she's doing the after show. It's really cool to see, because like she's starting to get really hooked on it, and that's, you know, and who doesn't I mean, both Alex and Molly are just like grade A people. So.
And I guess it's a perfect time to announce, you know, as we're about to, but a little bit away from the end of the show, I booked this before we started the show. Alex Damon will be my guest next week for this episode, for an episode of the Outlaw Nation Show. So, you know, following greatness with greatness. So it'll be exciting to sit down with Alex next week. So I wanted to announce that as Molly sends her things in. So get ready for that one next week as well. F. James 72 says, will Kevin Smith ask for his own slice on the wheel? Yeah. Will you allow him to choose Kevin Smith movies as his slice?
We discussed this, and the ruling is, if he wants it, 100%. It's one of the category. It's one of the categories like Roxy would have or not Roxy, but Coy would have a serious gripe against, why are you taking off one of the slices in the things just because he happens to make the movies? It's like, because look, there's a thing there. There's a thing there. Like, what if he gets it and he misses one?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be. I remember when I will say a certain competitor had something on the wheel, and there was something they were involved in the wheel, and they didn't want to take it because they were worried if they missed it, it would hurt the job opportunity. Wow. So it's because it and it was a whole thing. So yes, he will be able to use the slice should he choose it.
There you go. I would love it if Jericho beats him on a 5-pointer and Kevin Smith movies. That would be incredible. Chris Adams says, we all know that celeb matches Maloney versus an imaginary unicorn. Love to both you guys. Hashtag Cinefanatics are coming.
I would pay them to do that. Are you kidding me? Amazing.
All right, finally, we're getting to the live questions here. Thank you all for being so patient. I don't know how many we'll get to, but you want to tell them how to do it, Wiley, real quick, as my producer here on the show?
Yeah, guys. So what I'm going to do is you're going to see my name in chat, and I'm going to put a link on there. And then through that link, you can click to get on this platform called StreamYards. Once you're on there, if you've never done it before, it's going to ask you in your browser, so the website you're going into, it to allow your microphone and camera. It does not need to be one of these or a nice camera. Your phone, simply you click, and then you're in a waiting room, and Rocha will see you on there, and he'll bring you on. He'll announce before you get on. Yeah. But it's pretty simple as that. But Rocha, may I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so Kristian.
Yeah. I
know you get a lot of complaints about this, but I want to come from a rational point of view here.
Oh my God. This is the question.
So I'm not one of the people, but I have said this in many conversations that I'm personally getting tired of the Schmoedown. It's like, it feels like it's everywhere all the time. And it does not feel like you're in love with movies anymore or talking. I know you're dealing with it, but it doesn't feel like it's there anymore. And my question is, because I know you're not really feeling SEN that much anymore, like
that's not what I said.
Wiley, what are you saying, Wiley? What is this ridiculous shit you're saying?
Because I feel
you don't know what Kristian's actually thinking. You don't know if he's not feeling it.
Wiley, you didn't hear what I said. I said that I love doing SEN. I said I don't like making the whole show about movies. See, that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people hear what they think that they hear, and then they say something, and that's how they tweet. And that is incorrect. That's not what I said. I said I love doing SEN Live, and I like doing it. I would much rather do a funny, goofy show talking with my friends where we're talking about movies and goofing around. Because again, I also push back the fact I love movies very much so. I love talking about movies. I'm just not in the business of wanting to be CNN or Fox News of movie news, because that's all it is. And people take movie news way too serious. There's fights about it. There's people driving actors off of movies because of it. There's hatred. There's all this stuff. It's not fun to do that kind of stuff anymore. So that's what is my love of movies. You're sadly mistaken. Never changed.
Well, here's the thing. One more thing, Rocha. Sorry, but
make it a quick question.
I will. The thing is what I really got into in the beginning was AMC when it was all the movie news, because I'm a young kid myself, and I like to learn. I felt cool when I knew about this extra little news, and I feel like that is gone because I like your guys' voices. That's what I grew up on, and that's what matters to me. And it feels like that aspect, that little tiny aspect is gone for me. And I'm like, I'm missing that. Maybe that's necessarily something you don't want to do, but maybe like incorporate it somehow in a different show, maybe later on SEN, because that's what I'm missing. That's all I'm saying. And there's no
SEN.
So you want to see? So you basically just want to see the rehashed format, though, like of just like going back, because we talk about the movie. We talk about the movie news every single day on SEN for the first half an hour of the show. So if you're a movie news fan, you want to hear like the first half an hour of like just movie news and get caught up on news. It's all there. It's just I don't understand. Like, what do you want the whole show to be about movies? Is that what you're saying?
No, this is so like, and back in what I was really taking it from is AMC Movie Talk, like a current movie that's coming out, the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck movie they're writing, right? I have not heard one lick of any of that no one's talking about it in general. And there might not be any news, but like I miss like those little movie news, not the big blockbusters, because that's not like I'm in love with movies, and that's
we're in the middle of
yeah, I know. I get it.
There's not a lot of news right now.
Yeah, I get it
basically,
completely.
you're just saying you would like to have AMC Movie Talk come back, but that's not around anymore. We got to move on.
Yeah. Shoot. Okay. Just take me off. My camera went blank.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Let's move on to Chris Aikman, Drunken Prayer. What's up, brother? What's your question?
Oh, should do 2 seconds. Let me pull up my camera here. It's working. Okay.
Please be ready with your question when you come in. Go ahead, brother man.
Yeah, Kristian, I was just going to ask. I'll simplify this question down a bit. So a lot of people in the Schmoedown community, very big fans of various personalities and stuff.
Of whose?
Various personalities like John, you.
Various personalities.
I heard him.
And it gets very heated in the fan community.
Yeah.
People don't realize that this is a sport sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the whole, the kayfabe.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure.
Of it. How much responsibility do you feel, like, this goes to John as well, how much responsibility both of you feel that you need to take to tell the fans to calm down and realize that a lot of this is put on it as a sport? Like, how much responsibility do you feel for that?
I mean, that's a tricky situation. That's a tricky conversation, because it's like that goes back to the whole thing I was talking about with like the Facebook group, right? Like the Facebook group is kind of like an official group of where the Schmoedown markets. So for that particular group, we take a lot of responsibility into it. That's why I push back when I say that it's not like for what Kristen Smith and those mods are doing there. We do have to make sure that we let people know that, yeah, you can have fun, but be respectful when you do it. Now, to be able to go in and police the entire, internet with Reddit and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook. I mean, if we can do that, then we would be able to save the planet.
Yeah. There you go.
Sure.
There's only so much you can say because the fans are the fans. We've created a sports league. So if you go onto any fan message board on any sports league, it can get heated, it can get toxic, it can get violent, but it can also get pretty positive and fun. And so you're always going to get that. That's part of being sports. That's why when I hear the contestants complain about it now, I'm just like, this is the game. This has always been the game. Toxicity in terms of some of the exchanges for the minority of fans to get into it, that's always been a part of it. Lord knows the first 2 years I took so much shit from the fans, but that was part of building the character. So it's the game. It's the game. So, but there's not much we can do about it after that. It has to take its own thing. And Kristian's right. You get the right mods in there. Those are the ones that are supposed to handle it. Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Anyway, I should probably bring this up on Discord later on. So don't worry.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Good to see you, brother. Sean Barreto coming in. Sean, what's up, dude? How are you?
Hi, how's it going, John? I created the Outlaw. How's it going?
That's just bullshit, by the way, but okay.
Well, I mean, that's what it says.
We're gonna have a big fight over this later. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. So I just have 2 questions for I created the Outlaw. One is like what was the moment in your mind where you thought that like this Schmoedown would become this like thing that has become now? Because like I know like when you was first started, you had like a vision for it,
right.
But like what moment like clicked in your brain like, oh my God, we're actually on the road to getting where I think this thing can go?
I think that Horseman moment at the live event for sure. I think because when and Mark Ellis has famously kind of talked about it, where like we were sitting there and like I watched I was watching, them come up and the lights went on. I was kind of grabbing him because I knew it was working, and I felt the audience. And I don't think enough credit goes to Thad Williams and Tricia Lacaba and the crew that was working it that day, because the way that they shot it, the music cues. I mean, Thad was a really brilliant production supervisor on all that stuff too, and he really helped make it look very clean. So. But when that was going on, to answer your question, I don't have that feeling yet, because there's so much that I know that it can be that it hasn't been. So like honestly, like it does, like when I hear someone, and not to pile up on the guy, but come here saying I'm sick of the Schmoedown, it's everywhere. Well, yeah, good. It needs to be everywhere. Yeah. I need it to be everywhere. I need it to be. I need to get it in front of more people. Like, I'm sorry that the thing that you found me from with a thing that I used to do on a show that I was on once. That's a thing of the past. It was another show that was on once before, but it's like, this is the show that I want to do. So if you're sick of it, then don't watch it or don't be a part of it. But I'm not going to bring back some old school thing, because this is what I'm focusing on. This is what I know it can be down the line. There you go. Sean, what's your next question?
Yeah. Also, so I brought this up on Rocha's show with Ben Bateman was on the tackle. So I'm just curious about what made you think that this was the moment to bring physicality into the Schmoedown, and why did you decide to use Guy and Rocha to be involved? What was your thought process the entire way through?
Yeah, that crossed into letting everybody know, the audience in the crowd that night, this is where the show can go now. Right. Because there was just promos and everything beforehand, but overall character, I would say it's 50-50 in that audience, that 50% of people knew it was coming, 50% people thought it was real. Yeah. And I think the audience didn't know what the hell was either. Yeah. Yeah. Because if now in the Schmoedown, if someone gets hit over the head with something, you're going to go, oh, okay, like that's part of the storyline. But back then, that was the first time. So there was two scenarios. The first scenario was the tackle. The second one was going to be that that top 10 had to break up, and that Team Action was going to throw a massive party in the middle of the in the middle of the studio with everybody.
Fuck, man, I was so mad. I was so mad.
It's going to be a going away party, and I said to him, I said, well, if they lose, I said, John, how would you feel about it? Like, what if Andrew tackled you? And you're like, and John's like, physically, like, tackle me? And Andrew's like, wait. And I'm like, yeah, what if we don't tell anybody that we're going to do it, and we set it up, and he tackles you, and then we suspend Andrew? And they were both like, all right. So they said, oh, we got to do it this way. And they did talk about like how they were going to do it and how John was going to land, but John forgot that Andrew was going to do it.
Totally forgot.
And he kind of braced himself at the very last minute. And it's a great moment. It's one of my favorite moments.
I braced myself because I saw the corner of the desk and and the area behind the desk, and I was like, oh fuck, if I let him take me with his momentum, I'm going to cut my back up pretty badly. And I saw the camera. So I was like, I've got to land in between these two things to survive this. And I held Andrew when he hit me and carried him down as we did it. But yeah, I forgot it till the last possible minute. But Andrew did a great job coming out there. He was like a speed demon when he came around the corner.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Sean. It's good to see you,
Yankees.
Man. Go Yankees. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yankees.
All right, now let's see here. Psychelium, what's up, dude? How are you?
Hey, I'm really good, thanks.
Did you take that picture with the
Yes,
kid?
That's me. Yeah.
You know why? Because you really look like my brother, dude.
Wow. Oh, really?
My brother. Like, I remember when you sent that picture, I said, "Holy shit, that looks like Kevin," and so that's why I knew your face immediately.
Yeah, that was completely crazy, actually. I remember I was teaching in China at the time, and I went into the lesson, and this kid's just wearing a Schmoedown shirt, and I couldn't believe it. So I asked him about it, and he was proper into it. And his English wasn't great, but he knew what the Schmoedown was and really loved Rachel. And I had to share it because I was like, that's so insane.
Yeah, Kalinowski still brings that up.
Yeah, that was so crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to say, firstly, thank you, both of you. I love what you do, both to Schmoedown and Rocha. Like, I think what you've done with this channel is so great.
I'm trying, man. Thank you very much.
Also, thank you for moving the time a little bit earlier. I couldn't come on last week because it was too early in the morning, but it's only 1 a.m. now, so it's not too bad.
Well, thank you for staying up, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. I know recently we had the anniversary of Schnepp and of his death, unfortunately. And I always used to love you fooling around on Movie Talk. It used to make me laugh so much. I just wanted to know, what was your favorite memory
of Schnepp?
Yeah.
Oh man, so many. One of my favorite memories of Schnepp is actually, it's not like a super funny memory, but it's just something that me, him, and Holly shared together. We drove to San Diego together. We drove to Comic-Con together, and we just told stories and cracked each other up. And we were, we just, I mean, he and I were always close, but we became a lot closer on that trip, and just kind of cracked up and walked around for a bit, hung out at the house that we were staying at, and I was kind of, and I think I told that story, and after he passed, and Holly and I mentioned it to each other. So that's probably my favorite moment of him, because he was, and I never did, and this I've definitely talked about, but I was asked to do movie talk many times after I left, but my last time that I ever did it was the last movie talk Schnepp ever did. It was Schnepp and I, he was on the last one I ever did. So I had decided that I didn't want to do it again afterwards, because he and I had I remember towards the end of it, I've always been like this, to where even at the end of movie talk, I didn't want to do it as much too, because it's just never been my passion thing. And he's like, come on, we'll crack jokes, we'll do some stuff. And he could always get me on because he made it fun. And that's the thing. And again, I don't want to keep piling up on poor Wiley, but when he brings up that it's got to be fun. It's like, if it's just tell me what's going on in the news. You have so many websites to just click on it and look at the news. It's about what he liked about the show is what I liked about the show, that I could goof around with Schnepp and I could do these things. Well, we're not doing that anymore. Schnepp's not here anymore. Those moments aren't there anymore. And just go back and watch the replays.
Yeah, I think that's the thing at the end of the day. That show worked because of the unique combination of personalities that came together. And it's like anything else. And you're British, it's like, sometimes these shows come out and they're only 3 seasons. And you go, oh, man, I want more. But in Britain, they don't do that with their shows. 3 seasons and you're done. And you may pine for it, but it's never coming back. And that's also what makes it special. The fact that it was for a limited time, so you can appreciate that. And I think Kristian's right. You go back and rewatch those shows again to relive those moments again. They're just as good as any show you'll watch all over again, or any movie you'll watch all over again. You'll appreciate it as well. Quickly, my favorite memory with Schnepp is actually kind of a different type of memory. We got into it one time about politics at Collider. And it was the first time I crossed over from just being his producer, and I felt like he was welcoming me into his actual circle of friends. And we went at it about something, and he called me out. He goes, Rocha, you know how you are about this, but you're an asshole sometimes. And I was just like, whoa. And I just was like, he was such a nice guy that when he said that to me, I was like, what the fuck, John? And he goes, yeah, no, I know you can be a dick. You can be a dick. And I was like, what? And then later that night we're at a party, and I think it was one of the Christmas parties, and I drove him home because John never had a car. John Ubered everywhere. He never had a car. And I remember I pulled up to his house, and he's about to get out, and he goes, that I was just like, I don't actually think you're a dick, right? I'm just like, I know you can be that way about things because you're passionate about things, just like I am. It was no offense. And I was like, of course, dude, no problem. And when he got out, I could see his butt crack coming out of his jeans. And it just, overall, just for me, I was like, this guy is such an earth energy that you're gonna get. It's a shooting star, and you got a chance to be a part of his world for a little while, and he's gone, and we miss him because of what he was. But that's also just like that show. We should be thankful for the time we did have with John, not so much crying about the time we lost. So that's the way I look at it. So thanks, Cycling. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you,
Liam. Take care. All right, real quick, Alex O'Neill, what's up, dude?
Hey guys, how are you?
Alex from Australia here.
Yeah. Kristian, I just wanted to start by saying thank you for everything you've done with the Schmoedown so far. It's a fantastic inspiration to see something that was such a passion project of yours become something so amazing. And as you say, I mean, it's only going to get bigger and better from here as well.
Thank you, Alex. It's very nice of you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I guess my question was, it's interesting, I guess, at the moment with the lockdown and the matches being online, it's sort of created this new opportunity for matches to be played out over the internet sort of thing. do you sort of see the chance that once we go back to studio and live matches, that there'd still be a market or an opportunity to continue these online matches, whether it's for, you know, competitors from interstate or internationally, whether it's for a minor league sort of setup or anything like that?
Yeah, we're definitely going to bring back the digital for sure, because I think it helps build out talent, and it also gives the factions a little bit, like if you watch SEN yesterday, we talked about it, or Roxy had talked about it. The one thing we're not going to be able to do is be able to give factions equal amount of matches. Just the way it works. It works if you win, you play more. If you lose, you play less. But you can still let teams play a little bit more if you give them more opportunities to play through doing what you're talking about digitally, like people who are like, look at like James White, right? James White he's in Baltimore, and there's so much, and Robert Parker, there's only so many times they're going to be able to fly out. So now if we're able to actually build them up and do some stuff on digital, then yeah, we'll definitely. And plus the fact I think Star Wars will most likely always be digital, because most of the competitors are out of state. So so absolutely 100%.
There you go.
And then just quickly before I go,
couldn't have had it ready.
What is that?
always going to support you on the Darth Bane.
So so good. Rocha, you would love those books, man.
I probably read them when I was a kid. I just haven't read them in a long time.
No, they didn't come out until like 2002.
Oh, all right. I should get into those books then.
Alex, great.
Alex, let's have a separate conversation on the Discord chat. Let me know what those books are. I'll get into them.
Darth Bane.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's Darth Bane, Drew Karpyshyn. They're amazing.
Nice. Thank you. Thanks, Alex. Good to see you. All right. Malcolm coming in from New Zealand. What's up, Malcolm? How are you, dude?
Not much. I'm doing pretty good. But my question is, but correct me if I'm wrong, Guy versus Kalinowski was going to be at Booker T's stadium in Houston. Was it? But did you have any sort of plans for a wrestling style finish for that, like what you did with Bateman versus Guy?
Was there a wrestling finish you're asking?
Yeah.
There was going to be something that happened for sure. I mean, you can't have something at Booker T's arena and just make it a normal trivia match. I don't. I mean, that's that. I don't. There's probably still things that we can do down the line, but the story's always moving. You know, it's like that's the thing with the trivia. It's like you can't hold it and say, "Oh, bring it back later."
Yeah.
You have to figure out what the new story is. But I think every time we go to Booker, you should expect something fun to happen.
Yeah, most definitely. And last thing, this is something I was thinking about. Have you ever had any plans at turning Dan Merle heel?
Have I had plans?
Has he had plans?
Have I had plans? Yes. Does Dan ever want to do it? No. Have I asked Dan? Yes. Has Dan said no to me many times? Yes.
God. If we ever went heel together, sweet Mary Mother of God.
It's just not something he wants to do. And again, like I always kind of jokingly say it to him now. Like I've made pitches to him in the past, but now I jokingly say it to him with the hope that one day he goes, all right. Yeah, but I never.
Corruption would be romper room if Dan and I went fucking heel.
I know. Dan's too nice of a guy, I think, to
That's why it's the perfect thing. Hogan turning heel was great.
He's so good at promos and stuff too. And he is a performer, but he's not an actor. He's never said that he wanted to be an actor. So having Dan as a bad guy will be tough, but I'll definitely joke about it again with him with my fingers crossed.
Thanks, Malcolm. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And congrats to New Zealand for being COVID free, man. Jesus. All right, who we got? Chris Hall. What's up, Chris?
What's up, Chris?
Your mic, dude. Your mic. Come on.
Muted. It's all right.
Hey, sorry.
What do you break the guy's balls for?
The Outlaw Nation, man. Come on, you know what it is.
I just want to say, Kristian, I love what you do with the Schmoedown. But I think the best thing is that you put the great team around you with the writers and the promo people and the great interview that I liked with Let's Get Ready. I just want to say, who would you say is maybe your top three to get to the top of the tournament, of the singles tournament?
Oh, who do I? Shit, man. Hard to say when you don't know. I mean, I would say either Dan or Rocha or Irwin. Any one of those three. Let's count them all as one because we don't know who's going to be in there.
It's true. It's true.
So at one of those guys, you got to give the edge to. I think Snyder could be dangerous. I think Enrico could be. Lon Harris. I mean, shit, man. I don't know. I mean, those are the ones I'd say keep your eye on, right? Chance Bibiani. I mean, to top 3, I can't say. This is such a stacked tournament right now. I mean, I just can't say. I want to look at these rookies and see what these rookies can do. And I look over. I mean, shit, man. Top 3 is very hard for me to say right now, but those are the ones that I'm curious about.
Would you say for this year, like you would keep the tournament this big for next year, or go maybe bigger because the way you can go digital as well, and the way you want to bring in more?
Bigger, but this is tough to do it. To do it like to have this many competitors, it was a tough time to put it all together. But we'll see. Hopefully, with sponsorships and all this stuff and the growth that we hope to have by next season, that we can do more matches. I don't know if I'd want to do a bigger tournament than this because this is a pretty big tournament. Let's see how this works out because I'd like to go back and forth because teams is kind of getting shafted this year. Teams is only going to be 8 teams this year. So if anything, I might do 16 and 16 again next year, or I might do 32 and 8 on but the other side around. Maybe it's teams next year that has that many.
There you go.
Thanks guys, Chris, for everything.
It's good to see you, man. Good to see you, brother. All right, Jay Scotty for real from his attic. What's going on, dude?
Afternoon/evening, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I just got to do this real quick. My name is John Paul Jones. My friends call me John Paul Jones.
Oh,
so you can call me John Paul Jones.
In face to face, there he is.
Finally,
that's awesome. It's really good. Dude, I almost had John Paul Jones on the show, and then his man.
I would have loved it. He's
not doing shows. I'm like, come on, it's John Paul Jones. What the fuck?
That's too bad. So I kind of had a question, but I'll just kind of spin it into a pitch here. It's a pitch for an episode of SEN. How about you bring Jamie Costa on to promote his Obi-Wan film, and then you can kind of do best fan films? Because I know you've been wanting to have Jamie Costa on anyway.
Yeah, I do.
Impressions.
I think what I'm going to do is I think eventually, like, I want to bring back one-on-one at least once a week to do, even if it's just like, with people in the space, and Jamie being like one of those people. So if that's the case, maybe because I'd want to dive deeper into it than just going into like other fan films, but like to have him go over his entire career and everything that he's doing, because he's just such a genius, that dude.
Yeah,
so definitely,
really what he does. Yeah. Just don't put it on Tuesday nights, Christian. I already got that, for God's sake.
I might.
Oh, you son of a bitch. All right, good seeing you, Jay Scotty. You got another question? You good?
Well, while I'm on it, any opportunity to have Josh Robert Thompson or Ross Marquand back while I'm talking about impressionists?
It's funny because we just started bringing the crew back over the last like 3-4 weeks, and then I just slowly dipping my toes into bringing guests in. Like Bateman was on again today. We had Andrejko on last week.
I love those guys. Yeah, good to see those guys.
They were great, and I think so. Being able to bring back some more people to do it, I'd love to do it because contrary to popular belief, I love doing SEN. I'd actually like to have some more guests and people pop in so we can do more of that stuff. And yeah.
All right, thanks, Jay Scotty. Good to see you, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Too. Real quick, FJames72 says, so to be clear, Rocha's memory of Schnepp was his butt crack. Nice. Well, we all got our things.
That's right.
All right. Oh shit, we got to bring in Frank the Tank. Oh no.
Hello. Can you hear me? I'm talking on this old phone. Rocha might recognize it.
Frank the Tank. Tim the Tank. Tim, was that story about Chance that was active, right?
Yeah, I mentioned it in the chat right before you even mentioned it. Yeah, Kristian, because we had Chance at our free-for-all watch along party, and that's when I first met him. And then he started doing some reactions with Robert and Vanessa. And Kristian texted me and was like, so what do you know about this guy Chance? And I was like, well, he seems to know a lot, that's for sure. And I'd watched some of his matches, and then just being around him at the free-for-all, seeing him answer questions. And I said, his knowledge is there, and he seems like a pretty cool guy. So, I think it would be good to bring him. He looks like someone you could bring in.
What I think is
stand out.
What I think is pretty incredible is that when you stand there like that, it looks like a hat on your head spinning in the background. Looks really good.
That's my new look. So.
Yeah. But if that guy would have asked me though, Tim, what my most anticipated match of the first round is, it is easily Tim Franco versus Tom. That is going to be a blood.
Tim, you're worried, aren't you?
I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. You know what? Like I'm legit not scared because I just I take it seriously and I prepare, but I ultimately, man, I just want to have fun. So if I do lose, I'm gonna have fun. So that's fine. But I am not scared whatsoever. And A lot of people count me out. People counted me out many years ago against Atchity. I know it was a long time ago, but I like being the underdog. I like going into these things with people, against me, because then it just makes victory that much more sweeter. And I enjoyed victory then, and I'll enjoy it again. I'm confident.
Love the confidence, man.
I got a good faction behind me. We're all prepping. I think the Mercs are going to make a nice run in this tournament. I think we got some ground. We got some ground to make up, and I think we can do it. We got a pretty strong. I think we got some of the stronger representation. I mean, there's lots of strong representation. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, we got Brendan, we got the Beast. Perry's. Nothing to look past. So.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. If Perry upsets Kalinowski and the three of you go on a run, which is totally possible, it could be the mouthy Mercs we're talking about by the end of the year, not us, and not corruption.
It's the quirky Mercs.
No,
get it right. Okay, come on.
What'd you say?
When you climb out of last place, I'll remember your name.
Second to last. We're second to last. Okay, come on. Give us some respect.
Good to see you, Tim.
I know other people want to get on, so I just want to say hello and appreciate you guys, and see you guys in the digital world.
Thanks, brother. Good luck.
All right. Later.
Love Tim. He's a good guy.
He's a really good guy. He's really knowledgeable too. I remember watching. He's another. I mean, late to the party, how we found them through the reactions, but I remember they were answering questions, and then this dude is just lights out on the other side. I'm like, is this guy cheating? I'm like, lights out on everything he's playing on. And I was like, he's gonna be good. And then he did. I want to tell you that he TKO'd. Actually, I don't know if he TKO'd him, but he beat him the first round. And he was the first person to ever get all his questions right in the first round. Tim's sneaky good. People don't realize how good he is. Like that. That's a moment like when he was I wanted more people to remember his match with Atchity when he did that reveal with when he was the secret member of Corruption. Right. Because like that was a scary pull for her to have him as the partner, but a lot of people, it didn't go with a lot of people because they were like, who's that again? And Tim is a scary player, dude. He's a scary player.
He absolutely can be, that's for sure. Let's see, Adrian. What's up, Adrian from Britain? What's going on, man?
How you doing, John? You okay?
Good. What's up?
Good. Kristian, a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Same here, my man.
Yeah. I'll make this quick because I know time's running short. I was wondering what you think after that mess called the horror show at Extreme Rules. What's going to happen to the WWE? How can they survive after that debacle of an eye for an eye match?
So I only, and I'll let Rocha kind of speak more on this, but I only watched the Sasha Banks match with my daughter because she's a big Sasha fan. Yeah. I thought it was just an atrocious ending.
Horrific.
It was so stupid. It was like a bad soap opera that it's like they didn't even try. And it's like, I just think if someone kind of walked in here to watch this for the first time, that's what they're seeing. They're not even treating it like a sport at all anymore. And I just gave up on it. But was there even the Bray Wyatt stuff? Was that the stuff that was bad too? What happened?
The eye being taken out by it.
I think the Bray Wyatt stuff was good. It was the Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio match. That was the winner.
Yeah.
It was all ridiculous.
Sorry, John. And that one with Bailey and Sasha Banks.
Right.
I could have done that. I could have put the referee shirt on and counted the three.
Right.
It's just disgusting.
So stupid.
Yeah,
it's like why would Bailey, a champion who has been champion for a while, think that would be okay and that they wouldn't reverse that?
Yeah.
Like they make the champion look like an idiot. Like it's like why would anyone think that it made no sense?
Yeah, agreed.
What did you think about an eye for an eye match, John?
Oh, I thought it was terrible. I thought the whole thing was terrible, to be honest with you. And but it's they're just trying to put content up there, and I think not having a live crowd is so essential to pro wrestling. You got to have that live crowd. Not having it is messing up their storylines, messing up their matches, messing up the rhythm of their matches. And they're trying to do, because the Undertaker one, they happen to get lucky and get that one right with AJ. Now every one of these matches have to be have some cinematic aspect to them, but it isn't working. These guys aren't built to write those kinds of matches. They're built to create different kind of matches. And it's tough to watch, man. It really is. I just tune out.
One thing before I go off, John.
Okay.
Sorry to over talk.
Yeah, make it quick. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, what I read was Vince was going to use CGI for Rey Mysterio's eye.
Yeah.
But he decided to go for the basic option, which was the fake eyeball. I would have gone CGI because that fake eyeball,
right?
It was just stupid. It just looked like a flipping toy.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So scary.
Thanks, Adrian. Good to see you, man.
Right, it's nice to see you, Kristian. I'm a big fan of the movie Tribute Schmoedown, and I disagree with Riley Todd completely. You love SCN, I can see that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Poor Wiley. Don't pile on Wiley. Wiley does a lot for the Outlaw Nation. Don't give. He just, he was trying to speak his truth there. James Reinerton. What's up, James?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Did you just work out?
Yeah. Thank you, Rocha. Kristian, I wanted to address you specifically. I'm the one that sent you that Instagram message that you talked about earlier on the show. And I just wanted to clarify that. Like, I don't think that you're checked out by any means, whatnot. Like, maybe you just like we're having an off day or whatnot. But like, one of the things that makes SCN Live just so great is like, you as the host and, like your chemistry with the crew and everything. And I think the day that I sent that, it just kind of seemed like you were on cruise control that day and whatnot. Like there just wasn't a whole lot from you and whatnot. And like I said in that message, like if I'm wrong, like I'm wrong, I'm totally willing to admit that. That's fine. It just like, I just wanted to clear that up and address that.
I didn't take a bit of offense on your message at all. I thought I appreciated it. I respond a lot to messages like that because of the way you presented yourself. You presented yourself like a gentleman.
Thank you.
You did. You just said, hey man, I'm a fan. This is the way that I see this. And like you said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just wanted to let you know. You didn't say this sucks. This is it. There's too much of this is that. Like I don't respond to that kind of stuff. But like when you
because that shit is just it's so infuriating.
It's just not conducive to a conversation. But that was. And so the other side is that the reason why when you're doing 5 days every day to do it, and it's a lot, especially when I was doing just SEN 5 days a week, and you see those rhythms of the show, you see because I wasn't doing all this the Schmoedown stuff and then coordinating with Skybound and doing all these meetings and everything too. I wasn't doing that yet. When that all happened, I said there's just a lot happening. So then when I talked to John and I said, John, I gotta have you if you're down, I would love to have you host 2 days a week. And if you've noticed over the last couple of weeks, the shows have been I think a lot more with the crew, energetic, more fun and everything too, because there's not as much pressure for me every day to be filling it in.
Well, it's like I think it was like literally the day after I sent that, like you like on the show were just like you were just like so energetic and like one and on. So I was kind of like, do I have to take credit for this? But no, like I'm just like I wasn't trying to throw shit at you, dude. But like
I will tell you that you should give yourself some credit for it because it probably just woke me up for the day. I mean, because the day before whatever day it was that you watched, I don't know. Maybe there were shitty news stories. Maybe it's like the same thing when you're doing comedy at a comedy club and it's like you have a good set one day. We do 5 shows a week, so it's like you might tune in and you might like last Thursday, I had so much fun with Brett when the Jeremiah bit came in, right?
Yeah.
That was a great show. Yeah. And then you'll tune into another show and you're like, well, that show I've tuned into like I brought up Stern before. I've tuned into Stern, like that was kind of dull. He seemed like he wasn't really into the show. So I get it. And I reason I brought your comment up is because it meant a lot. And the way that you approached it was much appreciated in a social media time that sucks.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like,
I
really don't care.
We got to jump on, brother. We got to keep going, brother. Sorry to cut you off. We got to keep going.
No, go ahead. Yep. No, hey, good to see you guys.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. He's good. I like that. Yeah, that's the way you got to do it. When you send anything to us, you got to be respectful. People get mad when I respond harsh, and I'm like, no, because you came in a condescending tone. I don't appreciate condescending tones, man.
Right. It's like you can't take criticism. It's like, no, there's a way you approach people, and this way you have conversations with people when you bring things up. Yeah. And like it's like you don't give had he said you don't give a shit anymore, you just put it in. I'm like, fuck you. But he didn't say that. Right. He didn't say that. He said, look, man, I've been a fan for years, and my personal observation for this show was this. And I looked at that comment and I said, where the fuck is this guy? I'm like why can't more people, like, this guy should teach a class.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Smithy, director Alan Smithy here joining us. What's up?
Evening, Rocha and Harloff. How's it going?
You are the best, because I'll tell you what, if I don't know if you're a character or you're just straight up another Bobby Finstock type guy, but eventually you're the fucking best.
You got to get him in the Schmoedown.
Life, you know. I want you to bring back the ability for me to do the bird to the camera, so I can do this.
Yeah, you're something
anyway.
Else. Yeah.
So yeah, I love what you guys do, Harloff. It's awesome. Obviously, I'm into it. One time I did ask you a question on SEN Live, and you gave an amazing answer. Do you remember that question?
No.
Oh, I brought up Windy City Heat.
Oh, great. I didn't tell. I told a story about the Comedy Store.
Oh, that was a great story. I kind of figured you knew Perry, but you used to hang out there, be involved in there. So.
Yeah. I'm not gonna tell that story again, but but the
good one.
But I remember when all that stuff went down, and I went to the premiere of that movie, and that movie is it's so
you should
good.
Watch it, Rocha, if you haven't seen it.
Oh, John, have you never
might come up on the Schmoedown?
Windy City Heat?
It's directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, and it's kind of like a reality movie,
It's everybody. It's Truman Show. Everybody is in on the joke except the main star.
Mm-hmm. And the main star is so desperate to be famous that he goes with it, even though it's obviously like crazy.
Oh my God!
And his scream is the best scream in Hollywood.
Yeah. I was gonna say, can you change the Schmobot's voice to be Perry's voice, and then have him and just scream?
And now from now on, when people are about to answer, I'm gonna go and act.
And act. He even has one of these, if you remember.
Yeah,
so I'm going to talk to you through this, because otherwise you won't listen to me.
I'll give you a trivia question, Alan. Who's the comedian sitting in the audience with them during the auditions?
What I forget. I don't remember.
Dane Cook.
It's Dane Cook. Oh, it's sitting in the. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I need to rewatch. Do I get a question, or should I?
Hurry up. Yep.
Okay. Do you think the singles league, teams league questions are getting harder? Because the other leagues are definitely much more deep cut. Do you think that those questions have been evolving and getting harder, or do you just think the players are getting better?
Both. I think that the round one, the way that round one is always going to be, I think, a little easier, because you want the top tier players. The goal should always be that the top tier players can get between 6 to 7 points a round. Those are like the elite players should every time in the first round. Unless you get to the number one contender. Yeah.
I pointed the wrong way. Never mind.
But the number one contenders are the champions, those types of things. But and round two, a little subjective too, but I think that round one, like the audience watching at home should be able to get it. Even if you're like a casual fan, you should be able to get at least like 3 or 4. If it's too hard for the audience tuning in for the first time, why are they going to stick around?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm sitting in the comfort of my home, I often beat some of the best players.
Doesn't everybody?
Put the lights in my face. But anyway, nice seeing you guys again. Thank you, and thanks for making time for Harloff to come on. This rocks.
This awesome. Thank you. All right, we got 50 Shades of Geek. How much time you got? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 5.
Okay, make them quick. 50 Shades. What's up?
Can you hear me?
Oh, this
guy. Can you hear me?
I love that. Yeah, I can hear you. You're the best. I love this guy.
Been waiting a whole show to say this.
Wait, I'll give you the song. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear through, but I'll
Don't get us a strike, man.
I got headphones.
He's sitting in the back with an eyeball at hand. The outlaw looking down. Wiley Todd wondering why aren't they talking about movies? And in the background, the one, the only man to ever react to Collider Live video. He reacts to every Schmoedown video. And Wiley Todd asked again, why aren't they talking movies? He is sitting there, the one man, the only man we know, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for that.
Very good.
That's awesome.
First
Do you have a
all,
question?
Yes. I have so many, but I'll just stick to 1 or 2 maybe. First of all, Kristian, thank you. Thank you so much for, as you mentioned, the Collider Live video, the SoundCloud video that I did. I was in such a hard place, at that moment. I was on the edge of suicide, and I'm not even joking. That was the third time in my life, by the way. But yeah, you pulled me out of that dark place, man, and thank you. Thank you so much.
You're a talented dude. You should always.
Am I?
Yeah, man, you are. You're a funny motherfucker, man. You make me
yourself, man.
Yeah, I've been watching you since the Collider Live days, and you should be checking out this guy's channel, and he's on the SEN Facebook group. Your stuff is very funny. So I mean, I know everybody gets in a dark place, but you got a lot of talent, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you see the Ace video that I did recently?
That's your second question. That's going to count as your second question.
Oh no! Whoa! JTE. Can I JTE? So let's get down to the main question, which kind of ties into the question that I just asked about the Ace stuff. I also asked this on SEN Live, but by any chance do you need another editor, like as a sort of a side editor? Because I don't want to assume too much, but I don't think Nerd Chronic can do all of what he's doing.
Well, so we do. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. We do. So Skybound, we have some new people through Skybound. Very talented dude by the name of Michael Aronson, he does like a lot of thumbnails for the SDN show, and he's been doing a lot of stuff. Kim Bowden's another editor that we have. We do have a pretty stacked team at the moment, but very appreciative for you even checking in.
Okay, well, I'll just keep doing the music videos that I keep doing and posting it on the Facebook group. I really enjoy doing those, and I'm following in Nerd Chronic's footsteps. He's a really good man, and he actually subscribed to my channel recently, so that was awesome.
Your stuff's very funny, man. Keep doing it.
Shoot your
shot,
man.
Thank you, and thank you, Rocha, for commenting on some of the stuff that I do on the Facebook channel. Thank you, Kristian. It's 3 in the morning. I just can't really talk right now. So, thank you for always commenting on my videos, on the Dan Merle video, the Zoobly Zoo video. It really made my day. And thanks to Jay Washington. I also told him when he was on Roxy's show, it just made me so happy that you guys love my stuff. So, really, you have no idea how
no suicide. Keep doing your shit. People believe in you. Now work on believing in yourself. Okay? That's your next step. That's your mission. All right? Because we love what you do.
Can you see
stick around.
Can you see the
I see the flouse. I see it.
Okay.
All right, brother.
I wear this to every Schmoedown match that I watch, and it's so hot.
Next thing you need to do is go to a random coffee shop when you're allowed to with a mask and scream out Jeremiah in the middle of it. Then there you go.
Don't give me ideas, Kristian. I'm going to do it.
Tape yourself. I'll play it on SEN.
All right, we got to wrap, man. We got 4 more people waiting. You have time or no?
Yeah, let's do it 1 or 2 more, and then my wife's gonna.
Okay. 156 Impulse, man. Yeah, what's up, dude?
What's up, dude?
What's going on? Hey, Kristian. I want to introduce myself. My name is Joseph. I live in Jersey. I'm also a Yankee fan, and my American League team, and a Cardinals fan for National League, some great baseball. Yesterday on Backstage, someone asked the question that's new from Schmoedown. I just started watching in March.
Yeah.
And I have no team, but I like players. The guy actually took my answer.
Was that you?
That wasn't me. No, that was someone else. I was like, someone asked the same thing. So, question is to you. Someone's new. Is it okay to do players? I mean, or teams, or go the rules as a fan?
100%, man.
I don't want to get beat up by other fans. Like you gotta pick a team, like in sports.
No. Look. What I would tell you is like the one thing. Did you subscribe to the Schmoedown Clips channel yet?
Yes, I got those.
So I would play around with that channel and look at some of the moments. And yeah, man. So like, look at some of your players, or watch like I would say watch Free for All number 3, Free for All 3 if you haven't seen that. And inside of that Free for All, there are a lot of competitors. So you'll start to follow some of the ones that you like and watch some of their matches, and then see what teams are on. And maybe if you, let's say you wind up liking like 6 different players, and 3 of them wind up being on the quirky Mercs, then it's like, okay, well, I'm a Mercs guy. So yeah, watch your players, watch the matches that have kind of come beforehand, watch the history of it. There's a great, if you just put in Schmoedown Wiki, you can get like the whole full history of the entire league and all the matches. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about picking.
Yeah, I saw it. Check that out.
Don't I wouldn't pick a team. Go with players and then pick a team afterwards.
Yeah, there's a guy who you could go with, and his name is the Outlaw. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, by the way, thank you for your advice on Monday about the host issue with that girl. And I'm getting better. Like 2
Good.
days.
Good. Listen, the Outlaw
I'm
Nation.
28 years old. I'm young.
You got time. You got time. Yeah. Be
All
fake,
right, guys.
man.
Thank you so much.
Good to
Love
see you,
guys.
brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Go Jersey.
All right, one last guy.
All right, let's do it.
J Dog. What's up, J Dog?
Hey, guys.
What's up,
Coming
man?
in from Connecticut.
Concord, New Hampshire.
It's all the same up there.
Happy birthday, Cleveland. Happy birthday, Selena Gomez. All right, Kristian, wanted to ask you, is there any chance in the future of a sports trivia Schmoedown at some point?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, that was what I was talking about before when someone asked about the debates part of it. My goal is to be able to expand into different. I'd want to do wrestling Schmoedown. I want to do a full wrestling Schmoedown league. I want to do a sports Schmoedown league. That's why when people say like the Inner Geekdom League and Teams League, it drives me nuts. It's divisions.
Okay.
But to my fault, even the logo says Teams League, so it's my fault more than anybody else. So, but they're divisions. But I'd like to create new leagues with wrestling leagues, sports leagues, history leagues, all this stuff. This is it's something I want to do, but one morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to see that thing that puts us to the next level. That I can say, okay, now I can do that. Now I can do that. I just have a couple more things I have to do with this league first before I can maneuver into the other ones.
All right, cool.
Gotcha. Okay. And
Thank you,
Rocha,
Jay.
Yep. Before I go, I wanted to ask you, Rocha. Alexa Bliss is now on Cameo. So for your birthday, you have two options: Alexa Bliss or Sasha Banks wishing you a happy birthday on Cameo.
But you got to say the Outlaw, right?
Got to say the Outlaw. You got to.
It's got to be Alexa Bliss. No offense to Sasha.
I knew
It's
it.
gotta be
I
Alexa
knew
Bliss.
it. My best friend is spending his next paycheck on Alexa Bliss, giving him a shout out.
It's $400. That's way too much for Alexa Bliss. But yeah, it's insane. But I'll take it if you're going to spend it.
And before I go, also just one more real quick. The pitching coach for the Yankees is Matt Blake. He used to be a pitching coordinator for the Indians. I graduated with him at Concord High School. Actually, I shouldn't say graduated. He was 2 years behind me at Concord High School, and I played baseball with him when I was 18.
How do you not do a sports podcast, by the way?
He does. He's on the radio.
He has
I'm
to.
on the radio, Kristian. So
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, I was like, with that voice? Are you kidding me? Guys, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But no, Matt Blake is the pitching coach for the Yankees. He's a Concord boy, so don't knock Concord, New Hampshire, Rocha.
Oh, I apologize. It's all one big landmass to me, New England. All right. Thank you, Jay.
Great. You got to get him on a Schmoedown podcast with that voice. Are you kidding me?
Jay's great. Yeah, I love it. All right. Are we good? There's three people waiting, but it's up to you.
To do two more.
All
Or
right.
the three. When you cut it off after three, though.
All right. Canada Rocks. One question. What's up, bud?
All right. Greetings from Canada. Quick question. The new speed round.
Yes.
I love it, except when the reveal of the points was very confusing. Have you guys thought about, after both competitors gone, going through each answer one at a time and adding up to go?
We're gonna do that for the Inner Geekdom finals, and the other thing that we're gonna change that started, we're not going to start the clock until after the first question is asked. We started the clock before, and that's why Dimolanta got like 2 points, 2 seconds kind of off because of it. So it's going to be but to be fair, also, Ace answered a lot faster than Dimolanta did. But we're gonna. That's
true.
Yeah. So it's going to go into like I asked the question, clock starts, so it's fair to both. But then, yes, we're going to tally up the points after and make sure that it's all set and the highlights as they're going through the document we're working on. It was a whole thing. So yeah, it's been fixed.
Good to go.
Okay, great, and thank you so much for all the digital stuff. You guys made lemonade out of lemons. It's really been.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that very much. So
thank you.
That's what makes Kristian Harloff great, man. You give him a challenge, he finds a way around it. It's incredible. Honestly, it's incredible. Oh, man, what happened? We just had someone waiting for us. Absent Good, get back in here. Yeah. Darren Wright, what's up, dude? What's your question? Are you playing with yourself? Stop it. What's going on?
I'm sleeping. There's no question. I just, it's been a long year for me. And one of the very first things when I was in a dark place, I got a message one day from Kristian telling me to, keep positive and keep watching SEN, stay with the community. And I'm still here. So I just wanted to see Kristian finally in person and say thank you very much.
No, you got it, man.
I'm on a really good road to recovery, and
Good.
I'm still in the community watching shows every day. So I
Hell
just
yeah.
want to say thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. Keep the positive vibe going. Like I said earlier, man, like even when you're in that spot in the worst days, you always got to remember there are bright days in the future. You just got to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All of us have walked.
So that's
through
all I
them
want to
too.
say.
Thank you, Darren.
Good, Darren. Take care
No
of yourself.
worries. See you again. See
I
you.
will, man. I'll see you on my Discord later, hopefully. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Absent Good. You've been waiting. What's up? Oh, he got all dressed up. All right, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to see y'all. I was the person that had the question about the color, and I want to thank Kristian for bringing more people in and seeing Latino. The reason I was just saying, because yes, Brooke, I know you're a Latino. I respect that. It just when I look at myself, I see it. I can see more people. That's why I like the Winston. And I love it because when I tell people I'm going to Atlanta to go see y'all, they'll be like, "Oh, you're going to see a club or something?" Like, no, I'm going to see the Schmoedown. And they're like, "What is that?" And I show them, and I show them what it is because I love movies, and I like that. And when you said that you're gonna incorporate more like different slices, hopefully in the next season, love that because I like to see that, or like maybe see a Baby Kids or something like that. I think that would be funny, but be more mixture, and I respect it.
Sure.
I love that. Just a quick question. Question is for the belts, how often do you pick like new designs for the belt? Like every so often, a few years, and why nobody wears them? Like around your waist.
Well, I mean, a couple. I mean, the Patriots used to wear them all the time. The Patriots wore them.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's something about the over the shoulder that just looks good for some reason when we shoot it on camera. But the design, I don't want to. It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of have they worn out their welcome. And like when we started, the first belt we ever had was it was just the WCW Championship belt that Maria Menounos got us, and then it was painted over replica WWE belts. And I said, this is ridiculous. We got to get real. If we want this thing to be legit, we got to get real belts. So I went out to this belt company. I made the ones that that John and Dan and those guys kind of made, and the Patriots made. That everybody recognized, right? And then I said, well, these are kind of even these, even though they cost me at the time a pretty penny. I was like, I need something else. And then Brad Gilmore said, Booker T and I work with this guy for Reality Wrestling, and like he's legit. Yeah. He's legit. And I was like, well, what I really like to do is kind of go old school WWE with him because, like we were talking about before, I hate the new designs of WWE belts, but I love the old school designs.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at them and I was like, well, what if we kind of did like an homage to like the old school Intercontinental belt, and we did like an homage to like the teams belts. And then John's got this design here. Yeah, if you get it, John, the design that John's got for the teams belt was based on, but that was based off like the old school WWE belts. And
hurt your arm.
Yeah, and that's right. That's right. And then so like I like that. No, but that's fine. And then the singles championship was the kind of it was kind of based off the old school ones also. So it was on homage to those old school belts, and that guy did it. So I don't have any plans to replace those. We've only had them for like a year.
They're great.
Yeah, and they're still pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that your question?
I just want to Rocha. Oh, I'm just tell you, Rocha, thank you. Being a Schmoedown, you're like I think I met. I don't know if you remember. Like I met you in Atlanta, and I talked to you for a little bit, telling you that you're the reason because you as Latinos we're loud. We go back and forth. And I respect that. But I also like swag as well. Being black and Puerto Rican, I root for the Rocha, and I root for this. But I like the competitiveness.
Yeah.
And I love it. And your next match, like I said, good luck to it. I'm rooting for you always. And Kristian, keep up the good work. And I can't wait to see you again in a live event. Hope to see y'all soon. Y'all take care.
Respect,
Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. Thanks a lot for that.
So good stuff. So good stuff. All right, we got to wrap up. Kristian, you've been here long enough. We got to get this going. I know don't want you to get in trouble with your significant other. Well, thanks to Kristian Harloff. You can find him right there, all that at Kristian Harloff there, but also the Schmoedown Live. Everything's going on there. Don't forget to sign up. We got that pay-per-view match coming up next week, me versus Ethan Irwin, 3 p.m. PT on Friday. That's on Friday. We're going to go at it. And, of course, you've got, who's the other one? Deep 13 and the Professor or something or whatever. What is it?
Deep 13, which is going to be Alonzo Duralde and Whitney Seibold versus Final Exam, Lon Harris and Paul Oyama. They're going to be on your undercard. The winner plays the Pride. The following week, we're on the Kevin Smets versus Chandru undercard, which all of those events are available on either the schmoedownlive.com if you want to get to single tickets. But if you want to actually get all of those for just $10 a month, plus other great things, you can join patreon.com/schmoedown and you get all the benefits, all the early matches, everything by joining patreon.com today.
There you go. One last quick too. Ryan Chandler said, thanks again, Rocha and Harloff. 156 Impulse said, you guys are awesome. And FJM72 said, would you maybe use rookies and lesser known characters on streaming and have the Boat and Frank host that, and you and Mark do studio events next year for more matches? Would that be something you'd consider?
Possible. I mean, we're thinking about creating like an official minor leagues for that also. It's just something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, there you go. That's how the league grows. All right, I'm going to let Kristian Harloff go. Kristian, thank you so much for joining the Outlaw Nation and being part of a 2-hour and 45-minute show, man. I can't thank you enough for your time. I know you got a million things you got to be doing, so thank you so much. And there's more to talk about we could have gotten into, and maybe when you come back on again, we'll do that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, take care, man. There you go, everybody. That was the chairman, Kristian Harloff, on the show here on Outlaw Nation. So much fun to sit down with him and talk about his life. You know, you guys asked so many questions. We didn't get into half of the stuff that I wanted to ask him. So maybe next time we'll pick up where I left off and ask him about our time at FSU, ask him about our days hanging and banging in the Schmoedown and getting, kind of building this thing out and all the conversations we have behind the scenes. Maybe do a little bit of a late night conversation when we get a chance to do that. So thank you all so much. Wiley, have I got anything else going on? Have I got people waiting? Any other questions or anything to do?
I stopped sending it, but if you want me to send it out again, I know Calvin wanted to come in, but I told him he had to stop. But if you want me to resend it, I can.
No, because I got to jump onto a phone call at 6. So I can't stay on much longer. So, but I want to thank everybody who watched Outlaw Nation tonight. We got over 400 likes on the show, 253 of you all watching right now currently, but we had almost 400 y'all watching. So thank you so much. Thanks for all the super chats and the Streamlabs. Really appreciate you all sending that in as well. Thanks to everybody who took the time to come in live to ask those questions as well. That was a blast. So thank you, Wiley, for that. I hope you didn't mind taking a little bit of shit from the fans for a little bit of comments.
It's going to happen. So, you just got to go with it. Yeah.
That's the game for sure. All right. Well, thanks to Wiley as well and all the production staff here at the Outlaw Nation channel. As I said, you can join my Patreon, www.patreon.com/John Rocha at 7 o'clock tonight for the $5 and above patrons. We're going to have a hangout and study session for me to get me ready for Ethan Irwin next Friday. It's been a lot of fun studying with the patrons and going back and forth with them and them calling me out on shit I don't know and me surprising them about the shit I do know. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So join me there at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. That's going to happen at 7 o'clock PT tonight. So come and join me on the Outlaw Nation Discord. Please subscribe to the Outlaw Nation channel as well down below. Don't just watch this show. Subscribe for all the great content we got coming up. Reviews, sports show, movie stuff, TV entertainment stuff, pro wrestling, all of it. And 2 new shows are going to be debuting in August next week. During the Alex Damon show, I am going to announce what one of the shows are going to be and my co-host for that show. So that's going to be exciting as well. And then, of course, later on in the week, I'll also announce my co-host for the other show I'll be debuting in August. Both shows will be bi-monthly. So that means one show will air one week, then the next show will air the next week, then the next show will air the next week. So that's how it's going to work. So every 2 weeks, you'll get a new episode of those 2 new shows that are coming in August. Just building out the Outlaw Nation more and more. And I need you all to come aboard, support the Outlaw Nation on the Patreon, subscribe down below, hit the like button on all the videos I do, hit the view button on everything as I do, every video I do. Everything elevates the Outlaw Nation and gets people on board. So thank you all so much. Much love to all of you. And we'll talk to you next week. Don't forget, my guest will be Alex Damon. That's right. Alex Damon is my guest on the Outlaw Nation show next week. Don't forget to tune in for that as well. Back to the regular time of 6 p.m. PT on a Tuesday night. So there you go. All right, have yourselves a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll talk to you next time on the Outlaw Nation show. And remember what I say to end every show. I say that especially today when so many people came aboard and talked about their own personal struggles. Whatever you need to get through, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next week, next day, next month, next year, I'd like you to do that. because I want you around, and there's a lot of people in this world who want you around and want to see you back with us and want to see you stay and be a part of and be a citizen of the Outlaw Nation. So please do that for yourself. Do that for us. We love you. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.